Brady. It's Brady on WEI. He does a spot every Monday morning. EI, yeah. No time. Just whenever you can get it. I want to hear what this. We want to hear what this sounds
Another
like.
point too, as far as the 60+ wins. I hope they're not pushing at the end of this season.
Dude,
last year.
I hope not. Why do you even say that?
Yeah.
Just get the 2 seed. Who gives a shit about 60 wins?
That was. Now, when you worry about Harden's minutes, that's exactly right. Harden's minutes at the end of last season were ludicrous. It didn't make any sense at all. This is for that MVP push, you know. And then, but you've got an MVP push again this year.
Okay. All right, so Landry, we'll go through your observations here.
Yeah, just about the local news.
Yep. Fair. Brady.
It's that recorded ad, that erection ad, man. People do not like that.
Can we talk to Ryan about it?
Yeah. The Dan Le Batard Show. That's a fun show. It's so weird that Bomani is on it.
Which show?
Le Batard's show. It's just strange to me that Bomani is on.
I did too. Our couch is nice.
I mean, I'm
dude.
not strange because it's good, obviously.
Oh.
What's that? Well, you could hear what? I could hear Sean through the door. Who says Ryan? He came into our room.
Mad Radio, Sports Radio 610. We're live on Radio Row thanks to Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. We're also on the Low T Center webcam, sportsradio610.com.
Hey, let me see that Low T webcam there, Garrett, the web guy. Turn it around on me. I got to find the right angle here. I'm feeling very fat.
It's on there, sportsradio610.com.
Oh, I got to do it myself on my own computer? That's just why I have people like Garrett in my life, so they can do these things for me.
Now, Landry, here's the deal with our hotel, which is basically kind of like a version of Chuck E. Cheese. We're staying at a Great Wolf Lodge here in Minneapolis.
It's a version of Chuck E. Cheese, except it's almost nothing like Chuck E. Cheese. It's a water park with it. You know, it's a water park with a Chuck E. Cheese inside of it. It's an indoor water park.
Indoor water park.
It's like a convention center with a water park inside the convention center with a Chuck E. Cheese inside the water park.
And these are not, I don't know if these are good angles, but it is what it is. Yeah. SportsRadio610.com.
Yeah.
The problem with, well, there's not a problem. It's just that you feel kind of weird being adult men.
You feel weird being one of 10 grown men who don't have families inside this family water park.
Exactly.
I feel we're getting, frankly, we're getting looks. People are like, oh, what's the deal with these guys walking through here in like full winter gear?
There's a Ben and Jerry's in there.
Yeah.
There's another candy place in there.
There's a Dunkin' Donuts.
It's just everything.
There's beef jerky that costs $7 a pop.
There are just like tons and tons of
but
sugar.
It's fun. I'm going on the water park later this afternoon. That's going to be my exercise. Is running up. I'm gonna do intervals. I'm gonna run up to the top of the water slides and then go down.
Our hotel rooms do not have ESPN nor many cable channels, so Landry took it upon himself to watch the local news last night.
And I feel like I could do a radio show in Minnesota right now. I really do feel like I have a pulse of the people. That's what 90 minutes of local sports news coverage will do for you. Before we get into the sports, there were 2 news stories that stuck out yesterday. I bet you guys could guess. Would you guys care to guess what they were? One of them had to do with something obvious.
I would guess something about like, how is the city of Minneapolis going to handle the Super Bowl? Let's be sure we put on our best face, all that.
That was there. And they also made me feel better about myself because we think this is cold.
Yeah.
These Minnesota people, they aren't like some people where you go to their town, they say you're just a wuss.
Yeah.
It's cold for them too.
Yeah.
So they're talking a lot about the weather.
Are they?
They're talking about the weather.
7. You and I walked over this morning from the hotel. It was 9 degrees.
That was part of our
not
street
that
cred.
cold though.
By the way, Mouch, you got to walk. You got to do some walking if you.
I didn't know how. I'll walk tomorrow. I just didn't know exactly how to get here. That's the problem.
The people in Minnesota, it's been a long time. I don't have the timestamp on it, but they still want answers regarding the death of Prince. They want to know who gave him those drugs.
This was on the sports show last
This was
night?
on the local news before the sports show.
Okay.
I'll get into the sports show, but they want answers when it comes to Prince.
How long has it been?
It's been a year and a
while.
half.
It's been a year and it feels like it's been 2 years.
I was reading about his will situation back in the fall, so it's been a little
Does
while.
he have family fighting over everything?
I think he's okay.
His cousin was on the news yesterday. They interviewed him.
Yeah.
And his cousin, they were showing childhood pictures. They did like a little montage of him and his cousin. And his cousin said he wants to know who gave the drugs.
I don't think that we could quite understand the relationship between the city of Minneapolis and Prince the musician. There's something, it's a very unique relationship going back to the Purple Rain days.
Is it like the relationship between Houston and Beyonce?
No, it's different than Houston and Beyonce.
It's
Because
a lot
Beyonce never
closer.
comes back to Houston that we know of.
So people
when do
don't
we
upset
ever
about
see it? Like, do people tell me she's from Houston? I don't know.
Yeah, you don't see her.
I've heard talk that they've got a compound up north of the airport, but I've never seen them.
So you also saw the local sports shows.
The people from Minnesota very, very happy that Jacksonville did not beat the Patriots because they said what I gathered from it was that they felt like there would be no buzz in a Jacksonville Eagles Super Bowl. So they're very happy that the Pats are here because at least there's some sort of buzz in town about the matchup.
It's not even the buzz as much as the cachet, I think. It's the Eagles versus the Patriots. It's you have the biggest show in football coming into town with the Patriots. You have the Philadelphia Eagles, which is an old school NFL team, versus the Jaguars. Mike, I knew that. Look, I played for the Jaguars. I felt it. I felt the discrimination.
Yes.
I felt what it's like to walk through these streets as a Jacksonville Jaguar.
No.
You don't get the respect. People look at you and they look at you like a third-rate citizen.
The cachet makes sense. I do wonder from a pure economic standpoint how many Patriot fans are going to make it all the way up here to Minneapolis because they've been to so many Super Bowls. How many people have run out of funds?
This is the difference. This is what I learned last year from talking to various Patriots fans. The thing is, when you're a New England Patriots fan, you might as well damn near take out a mortgage on your future Super Bowl trip. You're like, well, we're going to go to the Super Bowl at some point, and I want to be sure I go. So let me start saving now. You think Eagles fans were saving last year for a trip to the Super Bowl this year? No, but there were kids. There was a young family up in Boston, a plumber perhaps. He just left his apprenticeship. It was like, well, I want to be sure, before this whole thing winds down 15 years from now, that I get to one of these many Super Bowls. So I'm going to start saving now.
Kill me now.
They end up there. Yeah,
it's
a whole franchise they got going here.
And regardless,
not the franchise itself, but like the fans around it.
Regardless of the economics, there will be Patriots fans in Minnesota, even if no Patriots fans traveled, because the Vikings and their fans are 100,000% behind the New England Patriots because of the classlessness that the Philadelphia Eagles fans showed to them and Case Keenum. It went far enough.
Case Keenum, who doesn't, by the way, tell us exactly what happened to his family.
We'll get to him in a minute.
Okay.
We'll get to him in a minute. But it's far enough to where one of the voices in Minnesota, one of the big hosts that was hosting the show, said Minnesota is Patriots Nation. They want no part of the Eagles fans. They want no part of the Eagles fans winning Super Bowls. Well, this is a Patriots town.
Some Eagles player, I don't even remember his name, was saying he was trying to get a reservation for him and his teammates, and he got turned down at like 3 places. And I'm thinking like, okay, first of all, nobody knows who the hell you are. Second, if you're calling for 26 people, it's not because of some discrimination against against Eagles. It's that you're trying to get a reservation for 26 people 3 days before the Super Bowl's in town.
Yeah, I guess I can sort of see the logic of them rooting for the Patriots, but it's still the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's still the
Eagle Empire. Plus, look, we're in Minneapolis, and the Patriots are coming to town. They love them some white people up here, so they're going to like the Patriots. Well, I mean, come on.
I guess
look around here. So,
I guess in fairness,
I feel like I'm in a Neiman Marcus portrait.
They have no experience with the Patriots dealing them crippling losses over the course of the last 17 years.
And because of that hate for the Eagles, one of the best athletes in Minnesota is enduring a lot of hate from the locals. KarlAnthony Towns, he grew up in Jersey. He grew up an Eagles fan. He's been very open on Twitter about the fact that he's rooting for the Eagles. A lot of fans pissed off about that. A lot of fans have gone far enough as to want him gone because he's not embracing the people here. So KarlAnthony Towns, because of his Eagles love, is getting a lot of crap.
Basketball players particularly seem to just not care.
Well, Jaylen Brown of the Celtics was saying that he was flat out rooting for Jacksonville in the AFC title game because his cousin is former Texan A.J. Boye, and he was even saying things like, hey, listen, I hope Tom throws a few his way and he gets a couple of picks. He was just unabashed, unashamed of his rooting for Jacksonville a week plus ago.
Well, and you look at DeAndre Jordan, who was openly rooting for the Astros in the World Series despite playing in L.A. Basketball players, they DJ.
I respect that.
Landry,
I respect that a lot.
Hey, I'm just telling you what the people are saying. The final thing that I gathered, and Keenumites, you might want to cover your ears.
Okay.
Because despite the fact that Case Keenum was statistically one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league this year, It doesn't seem like they're real. It doesn't seem like it. Some of them were mentioning the name Teddy Bridgewater, and some of them were even throwing out Drew Brees, treating him like Brett Favre and bringing him into Minnesota like they did Favre at the end of his career.
This is what's been annoying in Houston is people saying like, well, Case finally has a coach who believes in him. Like, if you've been paying attention, Zimmer has never been all in on Case. Like the whole time.
The fans aren't either.
Zimmer kind of just gave him grudging compliments, said his horseshoe is he's got his lucky horseshoe with him, all this other stuff. And nobody around here really has the sense that Zimmer's all in on Case Keenum. This will be one of the most interesting off seasons of quarterback movement in a long, long time. I hesitate to say how long, but I can't remember where there are this many marquee names and big guys potentially changing teams.
I think what will end up happening is I think they'll franchise Case Keenum, and I think they'll bring back Teddy on a 1-year deal.
There's a Drew Brees movement.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sensing a Drew Brees movement.
Yeah, I mean, they can
talk all you want. Look, we've been through that.
We've
been through that ourselves. Like, hey, maybe you can rest Drew Brees away from the Saints. It's not happening.
I mean, you know my take. I think that as a result of what Houston did for Katrina, I think the Saints should have given Drew Brees to Houston.
It was.
But now, thankfully, that's neither here nor there because we've got Deshaun Watson, so we're in okay shape there. All right, so there you go. So the people in Minneapolis are big Patriot fans.
Pats Nation.
Unfortunately, over the course of the week, we're gonna take you inside Radio Row here. Also, who are the top free agents the Texans could and should pursue in the offseason? Mike and Seth live on Radio Row, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.
Yeah, Keenum, dude. Ryan, I told Ryan that when he wanted to tonight fix these cords. Would that give you more room too? Yeah, a little bit. I wonder if there's like a little table.
And Brandon, let me know if you can find that Brady thing. Okay, so EI hasn't posted it? Okay. All right, let me split this segment with that story then. All right, because that's like news. All right, so here at 8, I'll kind of reset the scene here, Radio Row, all that. And then we can split it with Brady cutting off the EI interview. All right. I put this story in the segment. Yeah, for some reason I'm having trouble with our webcam. I don't know why.
What do you mean?
Like just downloading it.
Hey, you have the quote?
What's 2 minutes? The Brady? That's on the right page. Oh yeah, I mean I'm assuming it's short. Yeah. Okay.
Did you get the quote?
I've got the quote, but Brandon's trying to find the audio. I don't know. He hasn't found it.
Evaluate.
Yeah. Okay. So they haven't posted it yet. Okay. Oh, it should be like where?
It should be on the DL or on Twitter. I just shared it.
Okay. On our official feed? Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
What are the economics? We generally break even on a Super Bowl trip with the extra sponsors and everything. So I think like usually if you break even, it's great, and then you get the extra benefit of just being there for What's that? Yeah. What's that?
We're doing.
Oh, we're actually making money on this trip.
Well, the one thing you got to remember about radio is that are we on, by the way?
Oh, we're on the web stream.
They can hear you. That's
well,
fine.
I was telling somebody you get a lot of extra ad sponsorships, sponsor everything. It's the Twin Peaks.
The other thing about radio is that radio is a lot easier to travel than TV. Like basically all you need to pay for is hotels flights,
airfare,
like the per diem. But then like your equipment is all you don't have to bring in all these lights and all these different crazy things. So
Podcasts are even better.
Oh yeah.
Let's just do it. That's the great thing about if you do a podcast live from Radio Row is you could just sit right there
And just
You could
cuss.
sit in the Shake Shack and
Just
You
cuss.
could do the shake.
Real quick, do you think one of us should interview a mall walker at some point this week?
Well, yeah.
I can do
No,
it.
you should
Uh,
interview 10 mall walkers.
We should have
and
just
use the
had that lady
interesting
come
ones.
over, but they wouldn't let her in.
But we
Oh,
can
I
just
can go
you
over.
can
Do
just
we have the
record her.
remote?
The wireless?
The wireless?
I don't think
Yeah.
so. No,
Nah.
that requires
That
a
lady
hold.
was all about it.
Yeah, she was.
She was. She wanted Mike.
She wanted Mike bad.
She's a chubby chaser.
You're gonna make Mike. Mike is gonna make
You're
himself throw
not
up.
fat, Mike. I'm fatter than you.
No, I'm not fat enough. That's crazy.
There's gonna be barf. There's gonna be like barf with the 8 towels today.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mike's purging in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Hey, Walmart's a mile away.
Yeah, we got to go there. We are into the 8 o'clock hour here on Mad Radio, Sports Radio 610, live on Radio Row in Minneapolis, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. We're also on the Low T Center webcam as well at sportsradio610.com. In 4 minutes, a very interesting story involving Tom Brady and something that he did this morning. Let me kind of set up for everybody listening right now kind of what the scene is here on Radio Row. It's pretty unique. It's at the food court at the Mall of America. We're in front of a Shake Shack, a Carlo's Bake Shop, a beef jerky experience as well.
Damon Amendolara is here at the Mall of America.
Yes, our good friend DA is here. Yeah, so I'll probably be self-conscious about the random
We've
things
got
that I say on the air.
artisanal Damon Amendolara is here at the Mall of America.
We do. I kind of thought that when we walked in this morning, or actually yesterday, because that's when we set up our equipment, I thought it would kind of look a little bit different. But no, this is picture your mall food court, wherever, the Galleria at the Baybrook Mall, wherever, and there's just a
yeah, but there's a miniature golf course behind us.
There is that,
and
too,
there's
yes.
also an amusement park somewhere in here. We
And
gotta go.
more
We're gonna
food
go walk
courts.
the most. Yeah, more food courts.
Are there more food courts here?
Yeah, this is like right here. Why would you think that this was the only food court they
You
have?
think
This is the
this is
biggest
Mall of
mall in
America?
America.
I don't
We're
know how this
basically
place
on the
works.
periphery of the Mall of America.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah,
what are the other?
we might as well be in the satellite Mall of America.
Hey, y'all don't want to see me in that mini golf either. I'll just tell you that right now.
So you're that good?
No.
Yeah, he's a cheater.
No.
As long as they don't have the damn windmill. Oh, I hate the windmill. If there's a windmill on my miniature golf course, I walk.
So how many food courts are there in the Mall of America?
I don't know. I'm not your damn tour guide. There's several, I would imagine, because this is like an average size. This isn't even a big food court.
That's what I was wondering
by Galleria
about.
standards or anything. So it's the biggest mall in America. There's other food courts, other places. Like right here where we're sitting right now, you would have no idea that this is a huge mall.
Yeah, you would have no clue, actually.
I don't see a roller coaster in front of me. Somewhere in this mall, there's a roller coaster.
There is.
I'm gonna go ride that damn thing.
Okay, so it's over there apparently, back there. Why am I pointing if we're on the radio? But it is behind us.
Know
yes.
the medium, damn it.
I try sometimes.
So what did Tom Brady do this morning?
Okay, so Tom Brady does a weekly radio appearance on WEEI in Boston, and so he was on this morning, but it was a very quick interview. Usually this is the kind of interview. This is not like the Jim Gray, Westwood One spots, because they'll go back and forth, and usually Brady is much more forthcoming in these spots than he is almost anywhere else.
And he'll do like a normal 10, 15-minute interview. They'll just banter back and forth.
I think it might be actually longer, to be honest with you. Anyway, so Brady cuts short the interview because he was disappointed in one of the station's hosts previously made a disparaging remark about his 5-year-old daughter when discussing the Tom versus Time documentary. Okay. That's the one that's on Facebook.
So something happens in this documentary, which we're going to have to watch today.
Yes, I haven't seen it yet.
So where his daughter acts a certain way? Okay.
Apparently. Brady said, I've tried to come on this show for many years and show you guys a lot of respect. I've always tried to come on and do a good job for you guys. It's very disappointing when you hear comments about my daughter. Certainly, my daughter or any child certainly doesn't deserve that. He said he'd evaluate if he'd appear on the station again, and he said, I really don't have much to say this morning. Maybe I'll speak with you guys some other time before quickly ending the interview.
And we actually have Reimer, however you say his name, the morning host at WEI. We have the audio of him calling Brady's daughter a little peasant. Here it is right here.
Oh, pissant. He didn't say
Pissant.
peasant. He said pissant.
Yeah. Peasant would be a weird. Peasant would be a weird.
That was on the go. But yeah, good job, Brandon Porter, grabbing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Pissant.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, these are what happens when you put your look. Tom wants to have the reality show, but he doesn't want the scrutiny of the reality show.
Yeah, I mean,
even if it's from the station that he's working with.
Here's my.
It sounds a little, you know what? Look, they're all pissants. My kid's a pissant at times. They're all pissants at various times.
So you're taking his side.
If Tom Brady he's taking offense to somebody saying his kid was being a pissant on a TV show. Like, this is a reality television show. Does he not understand what that is?
I think we got to go to the tape and we got to make a logical opinion. I think we got to at least watch this tonight
and see if she was indeed being a pissant.
And then we can say if she was a pissant or not.
Like this, all I'm saying is whether she was or whether she was not. It's a television show. Like, Tom, you're doing a reality television show. And this is what happens. You see everybody at their ugliest, at their worst. And kids, there's not a kid on this earth who is at one point of time or another not being a pissant. They're all pissants at various times. I can't believe that he would actually take offense to that.
Well, apparently, I don't know where I read this, but apparently in episode 1, Tom Brady's daughter was shown basically yelling in the background when her mother was on the phone.
Yeah, so she wasn't supposed to be yelling, so she was being a little pissant.
Yeah, so here's my question. Like, so the general rule would be that you're not supposed to criticize somebody's kids in an unprovoked way, or in general.
That's not even criticizing them. Yeah, that's like saying, like, oh, the kid's throwing a tantrum.
Well, I haven't finished with my opinion yet, but like with the Brady,
being a pissant here.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Am I not a pissant at least 7 times a day?
I don't know.
No,
I wouldn't say.
I called you fat 7 minutes ago.
You did. That's true.
All right.
The question is, okay, so Tom Brady, by virtue of doing this show, then subjects the people in the show to some level of criticism.
Right.
So, for example, let's say I haven't seen this, Landry hasn't seen this, you haven't seen this. If we sat down and we watched this, and we naturally, while watching this Tom Brady versus Time show, we thought, hey, Tom Brady's wife is annoying, or Tom Brady's son is annoying, or Tom Brady's daughter is annoying. If you genuinely have that opinion, are you allowed to say that publicly, or do you have to fake your opinion?
Yeah, Tom puts himself out there on reality television. That's what you get.
Yeah.
This isn't just like somebody coming in and saying that, like, criticizing Riley Curry or something at a press conference, which we all have at one point or another, because come on, it's enough already.
Yep.
That's all it is. Like, Tom's got to understand that when Giselle makes him do this stuff, there's a price you have to pay above and beyond just whatever Giselle is making you do.
If your
kid's being a pissant on air, then somebody's going to call him a pissant.
Is Giselle making him do this? I feel like Tom's got just as much of a...
You know why Tom wants to work so long? Tom's got 8 to 10 hours of free time a day, and that's the time he's working. And he's going to keep getting that 8 to 10 hours of free time a day.
I was talking to my sister, and she has a male coworker, who's taken like 4 months of paternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm like judging.
4 months?
4 months, yeah. He's taking 4 months. And I told
me want to have a baby.
Man, like in Sweden, they think that's a negligent father.
This is in New York City. This guy's taking 4 months off. And I told her, and I was like, listen, I'm not making any judgments on what people want to deal with their kids or whatever. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Like, if and when I have a kid, I feel like I'm not going to want to be at home for 4 months. Like, that's a long time.
After about 2 weeks, you're a hindrance, if anything. So I'm going to poke this kid with a safety pin accidentally or something.
So that connects directly to what you said just there about Brady's free time being at work.
There's nothing better than a job. It just you can really get away from it all.
Gives you a purpose.
Tom's like, oh yeah, I can.
So we don't know a lot about this story other than what's just coming out. Tom Brady ending an interview that he has every week on WEEI in Boston over the fact that one of the hosts, who is actually not a main host on that morning show, I think he's just a contributor. So this is what he said. We play that audio. That's what he said, I guess, on a weekend show. And I assume, obviously, Brady heard about it. So he heard about it.
Brady's out there, like, people have their feelers out. Like, hey, Tom, this guy called your kid a pissant. And he wouldn't say, he said she was being a pissant, which is different than calling somebody a pissant. Like,
it's not a noun.
One's like you're being a pissant. Like, in that moment, you're acting.
Like
it's like saying you're acting like a pissant,
yeah.
which all kids do. Like, even Jesus as a little child was a pissant
no,
at times.
He was not.
I'm sure he was. How could he not be?
Jesus' child was
there
not
were
a pissant.
times where he was probably banging like he was taking his little carpenter's hammer and he nailed nails that he wasn't supposed to.
That's
a condition
was not
of being
not
Jesus' child. Jesus as a child
would
have been.
Not.
It's no insult to say
perfect.
that somebody's being a pissant.
He was perfect.
Mike Reese of ESPN.com, who covers the Patriots, wrote that Brady's family, as you would expect, is a notable part of this Tom versus Time documentary.
Yeah.
So when the family is heavily featured in this documentary, people are going to have opinions about it. So at the moment, I take more of the media side on this one. I do.
I do as well. I think Tommy's got to settle down a little bit. Now, I would almost accuse this of being some kind of a like shtick or something, like a what's the word I'm looking for? A bit. I would accuse, but I don't think Brady would be going for a bit like this the week of the Super Bowl.
Is Tom Brady feeling the heat?
Is
Tom Brady feeling the heat? And the Philadelphia Eagles come into town. Is Tom Brady nervous?
Who's done more damage to the Patriots franchise, Seth Wickersham or his pissant daughter?
Coming up next, who are the top free agents in the NFL the Texans should pursue and will pursue? Some of them are playing this Sunday in Super Bowl 52. Mike and Seth live on Radio Row in Minneapolis. Brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.
Peasant. I read it real quick, but at least we got the audio.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Good job, Porter.
Yep. I feel like they have to post that.
Why would they want to do that? They're probably their PD's got to be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
How much do you think they pay for that?
$1 million.
$1 million?
That's what they used to ask Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear about it today? Look at these cords. Ted's the man. Great guy. It easily can. Yeah, this chair is very stable. Yeah, this chair is very stable. Especially if you can even push it in. You can even tape it. I mean, not that you would have to, but it moves a little bit. I mean, you could even zip tie it right here. Yeah, I found one. What is that for? Oh, okay.
Poll of the day: was Jesus ever a pissant as a child?
Did you say that?
No, I said it should be the poll of the day.
Can I put that?
No, don't do it. It doesn't sound as good out of context.
Oh, hell no, it definitely doesn't. I was saying he was perfect.
God, look at how pale everybody is around here.
Hey, I'm not kidding. This has been a lot more fun than just.
There's a lot more people watching.
I don't know why Mike is such a snooty with this mall. How the fuck did you think this was the Mall of America?
What is this?
I mean, it is the Mall of America, but this isn't like anything special right here. Like, it's not the. Like, if this would be the only food court at the biggest mall in America, this.
We got to find the other food court then.
There's two. Dude, we gotta wander around.
Got America can. Okay. What do we have here? Oh, okay. Yeah. I was just looking at our deal here.
I'll put up a poll. Give me a pissant poll. That's not the Jesus one.
Should Tom Brady
be mad that
somebody said his kid was being a pissant on a reality television show?
All right, I'm putting it on Sports Radio 610.
No.
Would you like to buy some cookies?
Wait, what was Corky Romano? Who was he? That was Oh, him? Oh, yeah. Was he like the son of
Chris Kattan?
Chris Kattan?
Yeah.
He was the son of like a mobster in that, but he was a jackass. Yeah.
All right, I put up the poll.
Okay.
What's a piss and is one of the options, Melts. I put it on SportsRadio.
Oh no.
Free agency.
Oh no. Justin Pugh.
Live on Radio Row in Minneapolis, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. It is Mad Radio, Mike Meltzer, Seth Payne, Landry Locker as well, up until 10 o'clock when In the Loop comes your way. So free agency is going to begin here in about a month and a half, a little bit less. And the Texans are obviously going to be shopping because, as you all know, they do not have a first or a second-round pick. Got a couple players playing on Sunday who are going to be free agents. Malcolm Butler, who obviously had the clinching interception at the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Malcolm Butler, who's a very good cornerback, but let's be honest here, he's a Patriot. And if there's one thing we know about the Houston Texans under Bill O'Brien, anything that's ever spent more than 3 business days in New England is the most coveted thing on earth for them. So Malcolm Butler, who plays well without the benefit of a spectacular pass rush up there in New England. All the excuses that people have rolled out for the Texans defense this year about the defensive back saying, well, the pass rush isn't there. Like, all right, can you not be the worst cornerback in the league, even though you don't have a great pass rush? Malcolm Butler over Kevin Johnson. Yeah, I'll take a little bit of that.
So Malcolm Butler is one. Nate Solder is the other.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest name among the free agent tackles this upcoming off season.
I'm really interested in talking to some of the people from New England up here about Nate Solder.
Yes.
Because I
think Greg Bedard's going to join us a little bit later in the week from the Boston Sports Journal.
Yeah, and Nate Solder has been a very good offensive tackle in the league for a long time. This year, he was pretty inconsistent. He's not the same guy he used to be. He also has some health issues with one of his children that I would imagine is created a lot of distraction. So I don't know if there's a sense that he's either A, gonna leave New England, or B, even keep playing. So I don't know exactly. There'd be a whole lot of questions. I think that's one where Bill O'Brien
could retire theoretically.
I don't think this is one where Bill O'Brien would, aside from the actual play on the field, they'd want to have like a real discussion with him, not just a recruiting trip.
Yeah.
They'd want to find out exactly what's going on. Now, Bill O'Brien obviously has a lot of experience dealing with a sick child, and perhaps that's something that Nate Solder would actually feel good about or be able to lean on Bill O'Brien with.
Now, as far as on the football field goes, the thing that worries me, Seth, about Nate Solder is I think he's inconsistent. I don't think he's always that good, and I worry that if you buy high on somebody like Nate Solder, then maybe you get a year, possibly 2 of good production before you're paying for the inevitable decline.
Right. But you know what? You could have said the exact same thing about Vince Wilfork. But look, Vince Wilfork, his last year in New England, it was not impressive. He was good at soaking up space in the A gap between the center and the guard, and not a whole lot more. They brought him here to Houston, I think fully understanding that Vince Wilfork wasn't the same guy. The difference is playing 3-4 nose tackle, you're not out on the field every single snap. Nate Solder would be out on the field every single snap. But if he's an upgrade for a couple of years and you get some good play out of him, and then more importantly, maybe he also does help provide some leadership that's been missing on the offensive line, maybe it's worth it in that instance. And it's all a matter of what kind of a contract you're getting. If they're competing with other teams that are offering like 5-year, 6-year deals to Nate Solder at league-leading prices, I don't want to be a part of that auction.
That's my worry, because Vince was basically, hey, we'll pay him some nice money to come in and kind of help establish, O'Brien's regime and maybe get a year or 2 of decent production. And I think that deal actually worked out okay.
Yeah.
With Nate Solder, as you mentioned, you're probably buying, no matter how long the years are, no matter how long the deal is, you're buying top of the market.
Right.
That's the worry. The one guy
especially given what we saw last year with offensive tackles. People are just like, it doesn't matter if you're even actually good.
Yes.
If you need an offensive tackle, they're going to spend whatever it takes to get you.
Being average as an offensive tackle in this market will get you paid a lot. The one guy I am fairly convinced that the Texans will go after if he's a free agent is Andrew Norwell, the guard from Carolina, who had a really good year this year, and he's going to get a ton of money.
Now let me tell you this about Norwell. Because I started hearing all this buzz about Norwell and how good he was, and I think the Pro Football Focus grades were incredible and everything. when I've watched him closely, I haven't been overly impressed, but I've told you before, a lot of times the best offensive linemen have the least flash and bling to them because they're just steady, they're just solid. They don't necessarily road grade people, but they don't give up a lot of pressures. And he falls into that category, I think. You contrast that with Xavier Su'a-Filo, who's the exact opposite. Like at times he'll road grade people.
Yep.
He'll look really impressive at times. He'll drive people's 5, 6, 7 yards downfield. The problem is that he gave up among the most pressures in the NFL this year. When he gets beat very fast and disastrously. You don't get that with Norwell. Norwell would be a good addition. And with any of these guys, any of these offensive linemen, the day the Texans sign him, people will say it's too much to pay, but that's just the cost of doing business if you want an offensive lineman in free agency.
And especially in the spot that they're in. If you look at Norwell's numbers, he only gave up 13 hurries in 564 pass blocking snaps this year in Carolina. So the one thing you can trust with Andrew Norwell is very unlike Xavier Su'a-Filo. He's somebody you can trust a lot in pass protection.
You know who else is a free agent?
Who?
Justin Pugh.
Justin Pugh,
who once said that J.J. Watt tapped out of the game against the Giants. Justin Pugh is offensive guard for the Giants.
We don't forget.
Justin Pugh. Justin Pugh kind of falls into this new age, this new category of offensive linemen who talk too much. There used to be some pride in being an offensive lineman, Mike.
He didn't talk.
There used to be guys that were kind of stoic. They'd talk to the media, but they'd keep it kind of milquetoast. But now you have your Taylor Lewans, your Justin Pughs, your Richie Incognitos who want it to be all about them. Frankly, it disgusts me. It makes me sick. I hope they don't touch Justin Pugh with a 10-foot stick.
Well, I think the big thing with him is you have to figure out, all right, is this guy healthy and how good is he as well? I think that's a big question with Pugh. He was a good player for the Giants, with the exception of this past year where he was kind of banged up. His, grades online weren't very good. But this is actually somebody I could see the Texans pursuing if they feel like, hey, Pugh is someone who's a pretty good versatile player who just had one bad year.
Maybe I better back off with saying that he makes me sick. The other one, the real intriguing name that we get questioned about a lot, and this is just based off of a list of the top 15 graded free agents from Pro Football Focus, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham has been the talk of – this is a tough thing with Jimmy Graham. He's been the talk of trades and now free agency for a few years just because he's been a huge disappointment in Seattle. And they got it – early on, he was a huge disappointment. Then they started getting some stuff out of him. But you see that Jimmy Graham was at least partially a product of New Orleans, which takes – any and every tight end and gets something out of him. He's at least a little bit dependent on the scheme there.
But doesn't he at least intrigue you in the wild-ass nature that Deshaun Watson plays a lot? Like just the wild-ass improvisation of Deshaun Watson throwing it up to Jimmy Graham. Does that not excite you a little bit?
Well, I think in the red zone, he's still a guy who you see him in the red zone.
Oh, he blocks worse than us.
Oh, he's awful as a blocker. I got a name for you. And this is not a Matt Hammond, Luke Falk situation. Bear with me. This guy's playing on Sunday. He has a weird background. He played quarterback in college for a little bit. Trey Burton of the Philadelphia Eagles. Seriously.
Yeah.
If you watch him play,
he's got fire.
He's a versatile guy. He's a good pass catcher. He's somebody who, if your offensive play caller has creativity, that's somebody who I look at and I say, this is an ascending football player. I know it's not a name not a lot of people know.
Right. No, but this is where it gets tricky. And this is why the concussion awareness is great, but at the same time, you've got a guy like Fedorowicz who just got paid. You've got Ryan Griffin, who's got a healthy contract. You have Steven Anderson, who I think they're very intrigued by and who's shown some good things. If there's one thing we learned about Steven Anderson this year, it's that he's not capable of being the only tight end on the roster, but there's no shame in that. He's this taller, athletic tight end. And then all of a sudden, after the other two guys got injured, people were acting like it was Steven Anderson's fault that he's not an inline blocker. That's not what he's capable of doing. But I don't know how much they want to spend at that position, especially you're spending a lot at the position if you bring in a free agent. You don't know what's going to happen with Fedorowicz. So that's a huge question mark.
I think that at two spots, corner and offensive line, they need to be very willing to go top of the market. With these positions, I think it's at the right price.
Yeah, and I still like the upside of Steven Anderson.
So do I agree.
Like he's still a young guy. He still has
Landry's looking at me like
no. When I say I get frustrated that some people are upset that Steven Anderson isn't the complete package. I'm talking about Landry specifically.
Yeah.
Like Landry, honestly, I feel like Landry wants Steven Anderson to be some 1975 style tight end or like the lonesome end at Iowa back in the day.
I was very disappointed in Steven Anderson because there was a game where he had like 14 targets and he was the only tight end. Yeah, and then after that, he just completely fell off.
You're right.
I thought he had an opportunity to really progress.
Yeah, but he was the only tight end. He was the only. You know how easy it is to game plan with. They had 7 offensive linemen out there. You had like 7. They had formations where they had 7 offensive linemen.
I just thought he could have been
like, oh, I can't believe they covered Steven Anderson so well when they only had 3.
I just
wanted
to see a little bit more from him. Just a little bit more from him.
I would like to disagree with Landry, but I do think he's right, and I think you have a point about the way that they scheme things up. I wanted to see more from Anderson. Listen, he's in the plans. You're
a defensive back.
Yep.
Let's say you're a safety, and
Yes.
I'm looking at the offense, and I'm like, huh. Usually, where there would be receiving options, I've got 2 offensive linemen, and then I've got a tight end split out wide. Should we? How much?
By the way, do the tight ends on the Texans wear different helmets or something like that? What's with all the concussions?
Well, you know what? One of the problems is to avoid concussions with tight ends. You have to be very careful about not throwing them into concussions. Seriously, that's a big deal over the middle.
Look at what Brady did to Gronk. He almost got him murdered.
I mean, if you're hitting a tight end in stride on some of those patterns, like you a lot of times throw them into a situation where, boom, some safety or linebacker is going to come in. That's a tricky spot. That's why the Patriots over the course of the season had Gronk split out wide a lot.
I will say this, too. In the draft, with the Texans having 3rd-round picks and not having a 1st or 2nd, you can't necessarily draft for need. Everybody says you don't draft for need in the draft. Yes, you can.
Well, but that's what you do in the mid-rounds. You draft for need in the mid-rounds.
But at the 3rd round, you can get that. That seems like the area where you can get a tight end that can make an immediate impact that maybe slides there.
Or a running back. If you need more explosion offensively,
I said, look, but you're falling prey to the old,
Alvin Kamara.
The team has 7 different needs.
Kareem Hunt.
Whichever one you address with your first pick, you're going to be upset that they didn't address this other. How did they not address offensive line?
Let's continue this at 8:45, and we'll give you an update on the Texans coaching staff this weekend. Matt takes on the way. Updates on one of my favorite things in Houston, in the middle of town. And Johnny Manziel moving some merchandise. Mad Radio live from Radio Row, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.
That was good. Y'all need anything?
I'm good. I might have Garrett get me coffee at some point, but I'm good now.
Where'd Garrett go?
I don't know.
Remember the webcam?
I know.
Whenever you talk smack about people.
No, I know. Bang, bang, bang. Bang,
Nate,
bang, bang.
Nate Burleson. He disgusts me.
He's pretty good, man.
No, he is. No, just his no showing us.
That was all man, I thought it was weird that he was on with us when he was on that Good Morning Football right off the top.
I've got Zadok after this. What's my other mad take? No.
All right, let me close some of these windows. We are live on Radio Row, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. Also, we are on the Low T Center webcam as well at SportsRadio610.com. I saw that the lights on the Southwest Freeway on those bridges across are back on after days of darkness. They were
As you
shut
drive
down.
through the Montrose area, the bridges that span
Yes.
Route 59, they usually have these LED lights that change with whatever event is in town. It's
Yes.
very pretty. It's peaceful.
I like it.
When I drive in at 4:30 in the morning, it's soothing to me.
It is. It's
Yeah.
nice.
But they went dark.
They went dark for a while. They also had the Astros colors during the World Series run, so it's a nice little representation of the city.
They went dark because they done run out of money.
Yes, they ran out of money. The Montrose management district could not pay the utility bill. I think it was like 19 grand or something like that.
Why couldn't they pay it?
I guess they just didn't have the money.
Just didn't plan for it.
So the mayor offered to commit campaign funds to restore the bridge lights. My take is I really enjoy those lights. I think it's a nice part of the city.
They're back on. We're not in the city right now. We
Yes.
rely on eyewitness reports, Mike. But
Yes.
they're back on through some charitable donations or something.
I'm just a fan of the way that it makes the freeway look. It's a nice symbol of the city. I'm a fan.
Good for you. And it's I guess it's nice to have. It's just one of these things this is what I don't like that we do in Houston now. These things are around for like 2 years, and all of a sudden it's like local institution, like that Be Someone sign.
Yes.
Like the Be Someone sign. You know, the spray painting. Yeah, it's a Houston landmark. Like, and then you look into it, it's been around for like 10 years.
It's now a local institution. Sometimes things happen rapidly. What can I tell you?
And yet you want to dash the Astrodome like a buck.
Well, that's a little different deal over there.
Yeah. So
long story short, these lights on 59.
Oh, hey, buddy. Hey, Sage Rosenfels here. This is the problem I have with this mic. It's a mad take. It's called Mad Takes.
Yes.
It's Mad Takes. What the hell is your take here?
I know.
I
like it.
You read a news item and then you
Yes.
said, I like the lights.
Yes, I like the lights. Yeah, that's my take.
I like lights?
Yes.
You're like the weatherman there, an anchorman. What are you talking about?
That is
I like
a take.
lights.
That is a take.
That
though.
is a take. That's
Technically.
like my
I
take.
like lights is a take.
That's like my take that I really like the Chris Paul meme from last week when he was joking with.
That's even worse.
I love that meme.
I counsel these kids these days. Listen, describing memes is not conversation.
Yeah.
Like you telling me about a funny meme you said on the internet. You better have some damn good delivery when you do that. You don't just like describe some meme without some pantomiming or something. Don't just come up there and tell me about a funny meme. It's not funny. It's not funny when you just describe it to me.
All right, go ahead.
Johnny Manziel. I was skeptical that he was going to produce as he was producing all these hoodies and this clothing line for his Manziel Comeback SCN store. There's a video of him packing a delivery truck with product to move out. Everything's flying off the shelves. I feel like I'm a little late to the party now. We were gonna buy a hoodie for Landry and see if it actually took less than 3 weeks to arrive. I feel like this is evidence enough that he's delivering on the promise and that he's actually getting the merchandise out there. The hang up right now is that supposedly the report is that he wants to be the highest paid player in Canada.
He should be.
Well, why?
He should be grateful for the opportunity to play anywhere. What has he done for the last 2 years?
That's a passing league, not a run-around league. That's what they used to say with Tebow. Like, oh, Tebow should go up to Canada. Remember what Warren Moon told us? That, I don't know, he wasn't sure Tebow could make it in Canada.
What's
And
attendance
all
like
about
at the CFL? What's attendance like at the CFL?
I imagine it's pretty decent, I would think.
I mean, what's the highest paid player make? Really, it's not. He's not
You
asking
got to
for
scale
much.
it to percentage of population. There's only like 2 million people in the whole damn
He's
country.
not asking for much.
Yeah,
A couple $100,000, I would guess, would be the highest paid player.
Highest paid player in the country.
Yeah, to me, when you are a player like Manziel, who has been out of the NFL for a couple of years, who needs any opportunity, he's in a situation who has had off-field issues with various incidents of domestic violence. Who knows what's going on, partying too much. He should be grateful for any opportunity.
What does his body look like right now?
I don't know.
Last time I saw it, he was as skinny fat as it gets.
He looked kind of sickly, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked sickly. He looked pale. He had some random tattoos.
Yeah.
He was with his fiance, who's an Instagram model.
Did they
Whatever
get
the hell
married?
that is. I don't think so.
Are they still
I
fianced?
don't think so, but I get nervous also when he's trying to come back and he's tweeting past 2 a.m. Anytime it's past 2 a.m. and I see Manziel tweeting,
Well,
I
and he
assume the
took
worst.
a shot at the Browns being 0-16 as well, which is like one of the presumed teams that he would want to be. I guess the big story with the most relevant Johnny Manziel is right now is how he's potentially affecting Baker Mayfield's chances of going to the Browns. I honestly don't
want him.
I don't honestly even
want
look
him
at
in
I don't
Cleveland.
look at those two as the same. I think Baker Mayfield's got more pure arm talent. And I think Baker Mayfield, for all of his rambunctiousness, he strikes me as a guy that's self-aware.
It just makes me happy.
What?
It just makes me happy that we've progressed so much as a country to where we used to compare guys like Byron Leftwich to Vince Young just because of the color of their skin to now we can compare all white quarterbacks to each other.
What's going on here? What's going on? Like, honestly, let's just stop right now. Like, let's go behind the curtain. What the hell's going on here on the show right this moment?
What do you mean what's going on?
Like, nobody's paying attention to a damn thing. Like, you're staring off at Garrett and Lopez and Sage Rosenfels, and like, I'm saying something. You're showing, like, I don't know what's going on here.
I'm with you.
Sorry.
What's going on here?
We got into the segment a little bit earlier than I expected, so I wanted to plan something just in case to maneuver along our clock.
What's going on with you, Mike? I'm telling you, as soon as all the other media types, national media types get around, Mike sits here and gets embarrassed of his Texas guys. If we were just in a studio right now, he'd be focused, Seth. Look, he's embarrassed of you.
I'm really agitated.
He's embarrassed of you. I would be too.
Well, he was upset at the Montrose thing. We had
the second anyone from New York or Boston or someone steps foot in Radio Row, Mike Meltzer starts like looking down like he's too good for the show.
Wait a second. We had a whole what?
We had a whole thing about the lights over the bridges, and one of the things we talked about in Ryan's office last week was being more local. To talk about more local,
but you got to have an opinion about it.
Yes, I think the light should be on the whole time. That's my opinion.
All right.
I'm a fan of those lights.
But it costs money to do this.
I know that.
The poor people, poor the people in Montrose are impoverised Montrose area. No, it's probably like one of the wealthiest zip codes in the country.
I go to those coffee shops. They're full. Those people are paying $3.25 per coffee.
Yeah, I don't know why you can't afford to keep the LED lights on.
Yeah, keep those LED lights.
Neon, that's pricey stuff. These are LED lights.
Don't worry, I'm totally with you.
Can't even pay the rent in Montrose.
We have a slight disagreement about Johnny Manziel. Well, I think Seth and I were both annoyed that when the Hamilton Tiger Cats showed interest, Manziel's tweet was something to the effect of
Mike, why are you going back 4 minutes?
Well, I'm just saying.
What are you doing right now?
Stop attacking Mike now. Now we're going to get to the point where it's going to get bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it
Hamilton Tiger Cats?
Hamilton Tiger Cats. What I was going to say was that I agree with Seth that Manziel tweeted out, well, I'm going to let my agents, handle this and take care of it. No, what he should have said was, I am grateful for the opportunity. I want to play football again. I've been working on my body. I've been working out.
But that's not what Manziel is. That's why I'm saying the difference between Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel is that Mayfield gets it. Like Mayfield understands that it's not going to be as simple as stepping into the NFL and taking the league by storm. Like Mayfield understands that his past indiscretions are hurting him now. He has to do something about it. Manziel, it was like people were fighting him tooth and nail along the way to be sure he didn't have one more PR gaffe before the draft.
I have a theory for you guys, and this is the best thing that could happen to Johnny Manziel. And this has been thrown out there. If Tim Tebow goes to the XFL, or even he's not going to go to the CFL, but if Tim Tebow goes to the XFL, Johnny Manziel takes his place on College Game Day and college coverage, and he just steals the hearts of everybody, and he has a career laid out for himself.
Like A-Rod, but
he's not as good looking as Tebow. He doesn't have the I don't think he's not the same presence. I'm horrible at predicting who's going to be good on television, though. I didn't think Tebow was going to be good. Now I love him. Now he's one of my favorites, so I don't know.
Tiger Woods completed 72 holes on the PGA Tour, and he did so pain-free. Didn't really compete for the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, but it was the first time in more than 2 years that he was able to do so without having to retire or leave due to an injury. He finished tied for 23rd. He was 3 under par, and he was 7 strokes out of a playoff. So a relatively successful return to actual competitive golf for Tiger Woods this weekend.
I guess, and just he's got fused vertebrae.
Yep.
I think from 1 week to the next, it's still going to be a pretty tenuous situation, and you just hope that he manages it properly. I don't like making the cut a few times would be a nice, easy, gradual way into this for me, and I don't need to see him taking the world by storm. I hope, for the most part, I think like whatever hysteria is not the right word because it's the Tiger Woods attention, but I think it's died down to a level of reasonable expectations with him.
Although I still think there's a ton of interest in. I'm guessing if you look at the ratings of the Golf Channel and I think it was CBS this weekend, and I don't know if they even had Tiger yesterday because he finished so early, but I would guarantee those ratings were up significantly from what they would be because I still think that there is a big interest in Tiger.
No, there definitely is.
Yes.
I just don't know where you go from right here until something happens either for the better or for the worse.
Yeah, I think basically you have to figure out, okay, can he actually win on the PGA Tour? Can he compete for a major?
Did he show enough of, and this is the most frustrating and infuriating thing about golf is that you can look so good on one hole and look so awful on the next one. And that's where he is right now, along with a lot of other 40-something-year-old golfers, that there were times where, boy, it looked like the old Tiger. There were other times where he had missed strikes and just awful things where it looked like he was rusty as hell. I'm not going to sit here and predict where he's going to be even a month from now.
All right.
We're waiting for the sounder. This is the thing, Mike. You know, we did this little Fitbit competition last week. LE won. LE beat Cody, me, Raheel, and Chris Jones.
So it's only 1 week.
It was a 1 week work week challenge, and
Okay.
LE crushed us. She pulled out ahead by like 5,000
She's a
steps.
runner, though.
These fitness trackers, though, they might be threatening our national security. The Washington Post had a story with a headline, U.S. soldiers are revealing sensitive and dangerous information.
Oh, I saw this.
Because there are all these fitness trackers tracking everybody. But then there's this one site that will show kind of like a heat map of where there's all this activity. It's not giving away any individual's information, but you go into some of these third world countries, you go into Syria and all these other places, there aren't a whole bunch of non-military personnel using these fitness trackers.
Yes.
Like someplace where the per capita income is like $40 a year, not a whole lot of Fitbit action going on, except at military bases. Some of them are well established and well known, but there's some other areas where you can look at this map and be like,
there's some people
look at all the people working out, doing interval training and CrossFit workouts.
One of the things I saw in that story was they showed a heat map of the border between North Korea and China, I think it was. And it was kind of interesting.
You could see there's a lot of action on the Chinese side.
Yeah, because some things going on.
You see a little bit. I wonder if there's any like, the DMZ there between North and South Korea. It's really like every now and then the American soldiers just disappear. It's really dangerous.
Yeah.
But you wonder, like, is there any like some romance going on between like maybe you catch the eye of somebody across the border? You see a nice young North Korean lady, and maybe you flirt a little bit.
I actually once read a story, I think it was in Wired or one of those magazines, about how one of the things that happens in that area is they'll try to transport different American media. I'm talking not like cable news. I mean like TV shows, movies into North Korea.
Oh, like they're smuggling it in?
Yeah, smuggling it in.
How do they smuggle it in?
Like little devices, all these different kind of things.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you can just do it. You can launch it in on a little USB drive.
Exactly.
Or
Yes.
It's kind of a lot easier, so you can and then get over.
That'll do it for.
I would not have the guts to watch a bootleg video in North Korea.
Friends, Seinfeld.
Like, you get assassinated for that stuff with a rocket launcher.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Did in his uncle with a rocket launcher, man.
That'll do it for a weird edition of Matt Takes live on Radio Row. We've got the latest on the Texans coaching staff.
We're going to be a professional radio show.
We'll get it together. We'll organize ourselves. The latest on the Texans coaching staff. Bill O'Brien made a hire this weekend. We'll let you know who it is on the defensive side of the ball. Next, live on Radio Row, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.
Hey, Zadok Jewelers, that's the official jeweler of me and you and a whole lot of other people. They have a whole lot of customers for life because the Zadok family is just flat out so good at what they do. They've been in the same spot at Post Oak in San Felipe for over 4 decades. The Zadok family have been jewelers for 7 generations, and you can sense it when you walk into the place, whether it's the Zadok family or their expert staff. They know all the right people, all the best designers, all the best brands because they've been in it for so long. They pass on all that knowledge and expertise to you. So whatever you're looking for in the world of jewelry, they either have it or they can build it for you with their own custom designers and jewelers on staff. Go to Zadok.com. You can check out the whole selection. Then head on over to Post Oak in San Felipe and tell them Seth Payne sent you.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry. You're doing good. Don't worry. Live on Radio Row, thanks to Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. You can check out live video on SportsRadio610.com on the Low T Center webcam. All of our guests join us in the Twin Peaks hot seat tomorrow. Sage Rosenfels at 8 o'clock. Jermichael Finley at 9 o'clock on tomorrow's program.
This is where I have an issue with Canadians sometimes. How many texts did I get here? I got like 3 angry Canadians here. There's more than 2 million people in Canada. Well, yeah, I know that, but now I'm questioning whether anybody has a sense of humor. Like, yeah, I'm guessing Toronto has more than 2 million people. This is where I get offended. There's 3 Canadians out there who think I'm dumb enough to think that there are only 2 million people in Canada.
Yes.
And that's not an exaggeration. You sicken me. You sicken me, you sick Canucks.
You would think that the people in Canada would have a good sense of humor dealing with a cold and all.
Yeah, and all the stupidity and whatnot.
Rob Gronkowski is not going to be at the opening festivities tonight with the media availability because he is still in the concussion protocol, so he will not be there tonight, but I'm guessing he'll be cleared by Sunday. We'll let you know exactly when that happens. Bill O'Brien made a hire this weekend. I think it's a somewhat interesting one. John Pagano, who was the defensive coordinator of the Chargers from 2012 to 2016, and then he took over for Ken Norton in the middle of this past season for the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, they changed their coaching staff with John Gruden coming in, so Pagano is going to be their linebackers coach. I think specifically the outside linebackers under Romeo Crennel.
Outside linebackers, Bobby King, who's been with a team now for a long time.
Yeah,
Bobby King has been with the Texans for a while. He's got the inside linebackers, and I would imagine John Pagano, with his experience as defense coordinator and just being in the league forever, is probably going to be a pretty good voice for Romeo Crennel to have on staff with a lot of good input. One of the things that happened in San Francisco this year, aside from Jimmy Garoppolo coming over, was that they fired Ken Norton as their defense coordinator. When Pagano took over, they got a lot better. They got way better. They hemmed things up in a much better fashion. Or excuse me, the Raiders. That's the third time I've done this year. When they fired the Raiders, it looked a lot better.
One thing I always like doing, kind of like some head coaches in any sport, like hiring failed head coaches. I like hiring people in positions to where they've been at the position above the one that they've hired you've hired them for. So like John Pagano, linebackers coach, he's been a defensive coordinator for a while in the NFL in 2 different places. So that's a hire that I like that O'Brien made this weekend. He did lose a couple of coaches. He lost Pat O'Hara to Mike Vrabel, that snake who's stealing Texans head coaches.
He's going after everybody. Pat Desat said he was after Anthony Weaver too, which I'm not.
Now Weaver's under contract.
He's under contract. Well, but
that's tricky.
This is what you wonder. Could he hire Weaver to be defensive coordinator, even though Vrabel is still kind of bringing Weaver along slowly to be defensive coordinator? They would be, where Weaver might not have the full responsibilities of a defensive coordinator. I don't know. The Texans would have to grant permission for that interview.
For that, yes.
I say shut that down, Texans. No more of this. All the niceties end now. Now that he's within the division, you do everything you can to make life really uncomfortable for Mike Vrabel. Because you know what? He would do the same to you. He's already done it. He's poaching your coaches.
Yes.
You fired half of them, and now he's trying to take the other half.
It's a lot of turnover with the coaching staff 4 years into the O'Brien regime. They also lost Shane Bowen. as well to the Tennessee Titans. I have to admit, I did not even know Shane Bowen was on the Texans coaching staff. Not to say that he may not be good at what he does, but Shane Bowen is also going to Tennessee to work with Mike Vrabel.
He's been there for a couple years. Is it just like as an assistant? I have no idea what to tell you about the loss of Shane Bowen, other than that I'm sure he helped out with the game plans really well.
It sounds like they're going to keep Sean Ryan, although I should note that the team up here, the Vikings, did interview Sean Ryan for their vacant offensive coordinator job. I kind of have mixed feelings about this because on one hand, I've continued to feel the last couple of years like I would like Bill O'Brien to have more voices in the offensive meeting rooms or just on the offensive coaching staff to help him out. On the other hand, what I can't deny is that the O'Brien-Watson combination was able to produce the highest scoring offense in the NFL over the course of 6-7 games.
Yeah, and that's where I don't like getting into the whole, like, well, how much credit do you give Bill O'Brien anyway when it's mostly Deshaun Watson? I'm not really interested in it. Like, I just know that it worked, and there's various instances where it's not so simple and easy to make it work. You can look right at Jared Goff in the LA Rams, where it looked like Jared Goff could never play it down in the NFL, and this year he certainly looked competent. I don't care how much of it is on Deshaun Watson, how much of credit Bill O'Brien should get. I just know that it was working pretty damn well. Now, some of the play calling down in the red zone, perhaps, then we can start talking about Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, late in games was also an issue as well for the Texans. So again, to recap, they hired John Pagano, who was with the Chargers and then the Raiders, to be their linebackers coach, more focusing on outside linebackers, and they lost Pat O'Hara and also Shane Bowen. I mean, that's where I kind of feel mixed with O'Brien, because I see some of the chatter online. You know, McNair's being too patient. Why did he give O'Brien all this power? He won over Rick Smith. Now he's got his guy Brian Gaine in.
Yeah.
And I understand that perspective, but I still kind of go back to those 6 games, and I'm not going to say that nobody else could do that with Deshaun, because obviously other people can, but just that I would like to see more. I am very interested in seeing more from that combination. That's how I feel about it.
No, and Sean Ryan's not going anywhere. Is he?
I don't think so, but we'll see. I mean,
the Pat O'Hara was interesting because he was the guy that was the Hollywood extra. You know, he was
I like
at
that about
USC.
him.
He got into the film industry. He was in a couple of those movies, but he had a company that would actually prep football players for movies, and which frankly, I've evaluated his work. I think he does a pretty good job. Some of these movies, I've always been offended, going back to my, even like as a high school football player, they put these just fat guys out there on the line. Like, you know, go to unnecessary roughness.
Yes.
Look at some of the linemen in there. You're like, oh, come on, these guys are like,
they can't.
They're just going like fat guys. Like they got them out of a truck stop or something.
They can't move.
Yeah. So I think that's where not only will Houston miss Pat O'Hara, but Hollywood as well.
Can I tell you something that kind of I have to admit it kind of bothers me, and I feel like we may need to talk to this individual.
Okay.
The meltdown today will not be something I'm annoyed by. The meltdown this morning at 9:30 is going to be about a topic that we have not discussed for a couple weeks. I feel like Cody Stutes needs to step up his wardrobe game on flights.
What are you talking? On flights?
On flights. Yeah, I do. I really.
What are you talking about?
I hate to say it.
He wears that to work.
He's wearing
He
sweats.
wears that exact same outfit he wore on the flight to work.
Well, I didn't say that. All right, so Mark Vandermeer, who's in with us every Thursday in the 8 o'clock hour. I think Mark's dad was a pilot or is a pilot.
Yeah.
And so Mark, I think, has always been on the idea of dressing up when you go to the airport on airplanes. Like wearing
like you're flying TWA in the 1960s?
Yeah, kind of like that.
What?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if he's still
Are we go to a ball game in the 30s where we have to wear a suit?
But I got to tell you, this whole trend of like people wearing sweatpants and such on airplanes, I don't know if I can roll with it. I'm not a fan of it.
On a nice pair of golf shorts and a t-shirt. What are you going to do? That's and he was sitting next to our boss, Ryan McCredden.
I feel like he's got to step it up a little bit.
And then
you're in a public
switched, and then he
place.
changed into sweatpants when we got to the cold north, the frozen north.
In the middle of the, didn't even go in the restroom. Is it okay to put the sweatpants on?
Wait, he did that?
Yeah, he just pulled them right out of the suitcase in the middle of the baggage claim and put the sweatpants on.
I don't know if
that's see his butt crack.
What? No way. I think you made that up.
I'm telling you the truth.
I think you made that part up.
I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
Lopez is always the one that says dress for the job you want, not the one you have. But I feel like wearing sweats on the plane is like that's a big time entertainer move. You can wear whatever the hell you want. That's baller. That's rock star status.
I guess it is sort of.
If you're one
like
of the
that.
sheeple that's got to wear your khakis or something on the plane, then so be it.
But I feel like
Cody doesn't step to your rules, man.
But I feel like those guys are doing that on like private planes. This is among the masses.
Your concept of how often in how exclusively people fly on private jets. I think betrays an ignorance of just how expensive it is to fly on private jets.
That is a distinct
I
possibility.
heard it's gotten cheaper.
Has it? Because
I
of
heard.
net jets and all that?
That's what I heard.
It's cheaper is still not cheap. There's a difference between cheaper and cheap.
Yeah, subjective.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe I was being harsh on Cody. I'm not sure.
No, you're right.
You did it. You know, the problem is you did it at 8:54, and we don't talk to Cody for another hour, and he's sitting right in front of you. You can't get on the mic.
Well,
He's trying to prepare for his show.
We'll allow him on to defend himself.
Okay.
We have an hour plus to go in the show. Melt's done at 9:30. Top of the hour. What do we think about people who say they're not big on Super Bowl week, that they're not big on the hype for the Super Bowl?
You mean people like Landry's old colleague?
Yes.
Okay.
We will discuss at the top of the hour. Mike and Seth and Landry were here on Radio Row in Minneapolis, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.
Hey, you know where it's at, Melts, right?
Oh, yeah, Ryan. We get a lot of just when kids are in the car for school. Screenshots, yeah. Yeah, I've got some tweets, too.
About what? Yeah, like it's pretty. There's no mystery. It's clear what it's about. Yelp. Did y'all walk? Y'all Uber, didn't you? Y'all are frauds. What is that? I'm not a fisherman, man. Like, my family fishes, my family hunts. I'm not a fisherman. I'm a walker.
It was on the opposite side. There was ice, but it was all rough ice for the most part.
Oh, you found it? Hey, we got the Brady audio.
Okay.
Is it awkward? All right, go ahead. Put your headset on. All right. Hey, we got that Brady audio. Our reporter, B. Pizzle, got it. The freshly tatted B. Pizzle. Brady hanging up. Oh, you just got your tattoos filled, right? No, you got a new one, right, Porter? Boom, 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 boom.
This one listener sends us these pictures
Every
morning,
the hot ones,
which is fine, like when we're in the studio.
But now you look like a slime ball.
Yeah, I'm like, ugh. What's that?
Oh. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Melts. We got the Brady audio. Yeah, Porter got it.
So 9:15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, can you
I guess.
can we get the pissant one too, like just maybe a little bit shortened so we can play it before?
Pizzante.
Pizzante. We're just gonna have it to play before.
That smells good. What is that? Where's the food?
Nah, separated into two. Just like yeah, he'll toss to what pissed Brady off, and then Brady's reaction.
Hey, Garrett. How long do they serve breakfast all day? Is it that kind of place?
Where is it?
Yeah, the cheesesteak thing. Hey, that's what I got. You want one? Hey, the breakfast burrito with
I don't want
jalapenos.
the burrito. I just want steaks and stuff.
They have an omelet. Huh? No, it's like a cheesesteak place.
You see, this is what we have going on here.
Coming up at 9:15. Coming up at 9:15 this morning, Tom Brady ending his weekly interview with WEEI because one of the co-hosts called his daughter a pissant on a different radio show on WEEI. You'll hear that audio. You'll hear the comment from that host that led to Brady's reaction at 9:15. We're here on Radio Row in Minneapolis, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL.
Something just happened here, and it's this, that somebody was recommending a breakfast burrito, and John Lopez scoffed about the notion of getting a breakfast burrito in Minneapolis. And this is something that I like to call the Latino-ocracy, which is various Latinos like John Lopez thinking that the only Latinos in America are like in Texas and California and New Mexico. Not so, John Lopez. Good Mexican food can be had elsewhere. You just have to search it out. So I'll give this place a chance. I'll see if Seymour the pasty kid can make me a good breakfast burrito.
The burrito with jalapenos that Landry apparently had does sound pretty appetizing this morning because there's not a lot open when we get here at 6 o'clock. So I'm functioning on one of those like Starbucks mixed creation things.
No, and I'll admit this too. I got real snobby about my Mexican food when I moved to Texas. I was like, I felt like I'd seen the light for the first time. Like I got religion.
That makes sense.
I felt like I'd found the one true God, which is the avocado.
Melts down 9:30. Former Texas Longhorn Jermichael Finley will join us Tuesday at this time. Mad Radio, Sports Radio 610. So Landry's friend Ken Carman, you can hear him every Sunday night on Sports Radio 610 on CBS Sports Radio. I guess was saying last night that he was very down on Super Bowl week, the Super Bowl hype. And I don't really feel that way. The more I've done this,
you might as well have been listening to Daryl Morey. I'll tell you what, just the all-out assault on the great game of football.
Oh, the all-out assault on the great game of football. I mean, what would the alternative that Ken would like? That's my question.
I guess a more sedate, less heralded Super Bowl, I suppose. I don't know what it would be. I understand because I think Carmen's about my age. Look, when we grew up, there weren't that many good Super Bowls. Is he younger than me, Landry?
He's my age.
He's your age.
He's
okay.
32.
Well, I don't get it then at all because the Super Bowls have been pretty damn good for a while now. There was a broad stretch of time where good Super Bowls were few and far between.
Yes.
It was just you had a few good, exciting moments at the end of games, but a lot of them were just blowouts. Whereas in the past 15 years or so, they've all been pretty good games. I don't understand where he would get this from.
Well, I also think that a lot of people, when I was growing up, would focus on things like, well, it's 2 weeks of hype and it's 2 weeks of bluster and 2 weeks of nothing. But I think recently, since it went from, because sometimes it flipped back from 2 weeks to 1 week, and now it's the 2, which it should be. That first week is really nothing. I mean, that first
week,
you
don't hear a whole lot of anything.
Yeah, nobody last week was doing a whole lot of Patriots versus Eagles, unless you happen to be in Philadelphia or Boston. Other than those cities, I think that first week is basically just all the other things going on.
What the hell were we talking about last week? I don't even remember.
I mean, just,
seemed like pretty dead.
Different things. Well, obviously, you come off the championship games. You have other football storylines that come in.
Yeah.
But it's early. It's too early to focus on the actual Super Bowl itself. So, but here's the thing about it. This is the last game that you're going to have up until August in terms of the preseason, the first week of September for college football, and the second week of September for the NFL. So that's the backdrop. It's the last thing that actually matters that you're going to get.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Look, I don't know exactly what his deal is. We should pull the audio and find out why.
All right, let's go through some Super Bowl storylines, things we like and things that we do not like in terms of our interest level. I am interested in Landry's idea about, all right, if the Eagles win, what happens to the coach and what happens to the quarterback? Doug Peterson and Nick Foles. We were talking a little bit earlier, I think, in the commercial about Nick Foles and what his future is going to be like. So it turns out that Carson Wentz's knee surgery was a little bit more complicated than initially reported.
I don't think this needs to be any more complex than you've got Nick Foles under contract, and no matter what happens with Carson Wentz, you saw this year. Like, let's say they win a Super Bowl this year. What was your formula? Well, we had Carson Wentz on the roster and we had Nick Foles. And when Carson Wentz got injured, Nick Foles was there and we won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
What need is there to change any of that formula? And then you add to that the fact that Carson Wentz also didn't just tear his ACL, tore his LCL, tore his meniscus as well. That doesn't, it's not like that's impossible to recover from, but it wasn't the best you can hope for in an ACL injury is that it's just the ACL and there's no meniscus damage and it's much less likely to have complications. It might be a little bit less likely to be a straightforward recovery. I think you keep Nick Foles around for as long as you possibly can. Next year it would get interesting because he's got a clause in his contract that basically blows it up after 2 years, and they'd have to do something. But for one more year, I don't see any issue at all in just sitting pat. The question, I guess, would be, what if somebody comes a-calling with a first-round pick?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because let's say, for the hypothetical, the Eagles win the Super Bowl on Sunday. Obviously, a lot of it depends on how well Nick Foles plays in that game. If he replicates the NFC Championship game, then we're talking about one of the rare great runs by an unheralded quarterback. But I feel as though, I'm guessing the feeling on the NFL is that Nick Foles has maybe gotten a little bit better than he was the last couple of years, but he's in a good spot with a good defense, an excellent offensive line, with 3 really good offensive coaches who are creating these game plans. I don't know that people are going to be looking at Nick Foles thinking, well, he's doing this with the Eagles. What if he was our starting quarterback?
Right. And I don't think, if there's anything people have learned, it's that just one stretch in the playoffs doesn't change who you are as a quarterback. And you learned that with Joe Flacco.
Yep.
I mean, is Joe Flacco the guy we saw in the Super Bowl the year they won the Super Bowl? Of course not. Not to mention the fact that they got lucky as hell on that, on a couple of moments on that run to the Super Bowl. I think no matter what Nick Foles does in this game, it's not going to counteract the vast majority of what people have seen of him since that one great year with the Eagles. And I think a lot of personnel people are going to be very, very reluctant to hang it out all on the line for Nick Foles.
I mean, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I don't think it's a stretch to say Nick Foles would have one of the most unique careers in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who would have a 27-touchdown, 2-pick season, which in itself is very unique. Then he gets benched. He loses his starting job. He gets traded away, whatever that situation was. Then he comes back to this place and filling in for a quarterback who was going to be the MVP of the NFL, to beat 2 teams at home as an underdog, and then to beat Tom Brady. Think about that.
I'll give you the next Nick Foles. Colin Kaepernick. You just described the first 3 quarters of Colin Kaepernick's career.
Well, who knows?
Had an incredible stretch early on in a certain kind of offense, then fell off, and then maybe in his second act, third act, something comes around. Is Kaepernick ever going to play again?
I don't know.
Why are you doing this right now?
I'm going to do this because I want to make Mike miserable.
I'm not miserable.
No, I'm just like it's getting
maybe
to the point now where I don't know. I don't think he ever plays again.
Mike Freeman of Bleacher Report floated out there. You guys will love this.
Yeah.
That the NFL, as part of, because realistically, the Raiders broke the spirit of the Rooney Rule when they hired John Gruden. They hired.
Yeah, but it happens all the time when somebody knows who they want to hire.
So Mike Freeman of Bleacher Report threw out there that the NFL, and I guess we'll see what happens, the NFL has been pressing it upon the Raiders. Hey, we'll let this one slide if you sign Colin Kaepernick. That's what he floated out there.
That they'll let that one slide but I don't know, can you violate the spirit of the Rooney Rule? I mean, as long as you actually do the interview, I don't know where the transgression of the violation is. I guess if there are memos that say, hey, we're hiring this guy no matter what, let's just do a ruse of an interview.
Plus, the Raiders have always been so good with that historically. I think they're the first team to hire a black coach.
Art Shell.
They've always been really good at that.
Well, that was Al Davis. We don't know about Mark Davis.
I don't think it's
everybody's whistling Dixie out there in California.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. I don't think it's like an anti-Raiders racial policy, more just like that they can get rid of this whole issue by saying, hey, listen, we know you wanted to hire John Gruden the whole time. We understand you wanted to hire John Gruden, do us a solid and give Kaepernick a job. That's what Mike Freeman reported. I mean, that obviously hasn't happened yet, so we'll see what happens over the offseason. I have serious doubts about that.
That raises so many other issues. Like, you can't operate a league that way where you say, hey, you hire this guy.
Well,
that would be
Did the NFL, remind me of this, with Michael Sam, did the NFL press the Rams to draft Michael Sam late in that NFL
was there
draft?
a story about that?
Do you remember that Landry?
I think
that sounds
like
yeah, there was a conspiracy theory about it.
I don't know if it was a conspiracy. I think
they pressed him to sign Michael Sam
to draft him.
I mean,
yeah, I think there was a story. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 9/11, and we're in Minneapolis. I believe there was a story. The NFL actually did that. I'll double check on that in the commercial break. I'll double check on that. But that the NFL felt like it would be a bad look if Michael Sam were not drafted. So all the controversial topics come up in the 9 o'clock hour. We're here on Radio Row, thanks to Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. We're also live right now. Live video stream at SportsRadio610.com on the Low T Center webcam. Every guest who joins us sits in the Twin Peaks hot seat. Melts down at 9:30. Tom Brady cut short, very short, his weekly interview on WEEI in Boston. Why was that the case? We'll explain, and you'll hear Tom Brady in that interview next on Mad Radio.
You can donate your car, your truck, your motorcycle, whether it's running or not, to a local school that helps kids get back on their feet after they've had troubles in school and either dropped out or just failed a couple of grades. Helps these kids get back on their feet and get their high school diploma. It's Houston Can Academy, and it's a really cool thing that they do. Rich Lord and I both work with them. We've been out there, and we've seen exactly how great the work they do is, and it's really amazing how they're able to get these kids back on track. All you have to do is take a vehicle that you no longer want or need, or maybe it just flat out doesn't run anymore. Donate it to Houston Can Academy. They'll come, they'll pick it up, they'll tow it away absolutely free. Then they use those proceeds to help these kids. And you might think, okay, how much does my $500 piece of junk actually help these kids? It helps a lot because they're buying the very basics. They're buying supplies. They're buying clothing at times for these kids. So every little bit helps. You can help some kids out and get rid of that vehicle that you don't want any longer as well. Give them a call at 713-225-4226. That's 713-225-4226, or go online to HoustonCarsForKids.org to donate now. Remember, right off the car, not the kid. Plus, they're going to give you a $50 Visa gift card when you donate. 713-225-4226 or HoustonCarsForKids.org.
All right, I've got the Michael Sam story. I'll pay it off coming back. All right, Brandon. So let's go in order. We'll play the Brady on EEI, and then we'll go back to the Reimer comments. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes.
Why? Why don't
you? Or should I go to the reverse?
Yeah, what he said and then
okay,
Brady's reaction.
All right, let's do that. Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
What are you doing after the show? What are you gonna do? Hang around or what?
Yeah, I'll hang around. What? Do you need me?
No, I wanted to walk around the mall, but
okay,
I'm gonna have to be here till 12, and then I can only walk around the mall. I don't know, man. I need to find a better food court.
That Italian place isn't bad.
Yeah, but that's not the challenge.
The challenge
Plus,
is.
I don't know if I'm gonna do the challenge. I've been eating a little bit healthy. One bite. One bite. Everybody knows the rules. One bite.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We can banter a little bit first, then get into it.
I'm going to explain exactly why we didn't talk about it.
Yes.
Retire. Don't do it. Don't do it. TheLokengroup.com. The real question is, God, during middays and afternoons, this is just going to become a cluster, dude.
Yeah, you're going to hate it.
Hey, Mr. Meltz, can you give me my jacket and beanie over there?
Yes. All right.
Yeah, it's mine.
Hang on. Oh, there we go.
Thanks, dude.
Yes.
Thanks, bro.
All right.
You talking about that baker shop?
Yeah, I don't want to. I got to get out of here. I gotta get out of here as soon as if that's open when we're off air. I gotta get the hell out of here
Why?
because I'll eat in there. I'll buy 4 cakes. I'll take a cake home and eat the whole cake before you guys get home.
No, there's no Eagles fans yet. I'm imagining they're gonna come soon. They're very hated here, though. Like, there is not going to be much leniency towards Eagles fuckery in Minnesota. Yeah, I said the F word.
Yeah, this is the webcam's on
It's
all the time.
okay.
What'd you say?
I said they're not going to be very lenient of Eagles fuckery in Minnesota. They're very
You can
hated here.
swear as much as you want on
Yeah.
the web stream. Nobody cares.
Damn, that guy's bringing it. See, he's got a Brady jersey and
Some
a
of
Vikings
these-
jacket. Case in point right there.
Yeah, some of these walkers.
Stormy Daniels is
one-
coming to
one's got
Houston.
Forward lean. What's your jacket though? What's that? Yeah.
So, AKA a Vikings fan that decided he was a
I'm just
Patriots
gonna-
fan when Randy Moss left.
I don't know what the hell was going on there.
Stormy Daniels is coming to Houston.
For what?
In 2 months for the Make America Horny Again tour.
I don't even know who Stormy Daniels is.
She's the one
a
that Trump
porn star.
allegedly had an
Yeah.
affair with
Yeah.
Oh,
a few
yeah.
years back.
Yeah.
Dude, did you read that?
Wait, hold on.
It was awesome.
Mad Radio, Sports Radio 610, live in Minneapolis on Radio Row in the food court at the Mall of America, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. We're also online at the Low T Center webcam on sportsradio610.com.
It's something that was it's been playing all morning on the Pro Bowl highlights that it's relevant to something we're about to talk about, which was Drew Brees' kids acting up on the sideline. I don't even know what was going on other than I saw them beating the snot out of each other. In that situation, I'd be like, hey, they're acting like little piss ants. And I feel like Drew Brees would agree, correct?
Because he brought them out onto the Pro Bowl field where they're on TV.
Yeah, and they're just like uncontrollable, which happens with kids. It doesn't mean that they are piss ants in general, but they were acting like piss ants in that moment.
So the reason why you bring this up
Yeah.
naturally is
Like just like my kid has been a piss ant. Like they're all piss ants at various times.
Tom Brady has this new show on Facebook, Tom versus Time, which they did the promos for that commercial in the AFC Championship game. 2 episodes have been out, and as a
Were
result,
those the promos where he was talking about how much he sacrifices as they showed images of him working out in his
Yes.
private gym or jetting around or like hanging out with Giselle?
that commercial,
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
that
That was
commercial,
all the
exactly.
sacrifice.
So obviously that's a big topic in Boston, and it came up on WEEI, which led to one of the hosts there, Alex Reimer, saying this about Tom Brady and his family.
So you know
that-
what? Hearing it the second time. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
So that led to this. Tom Brady does a weekly interview Monday morning on WEI. They usually grill him pretty decently. They ask him some tough questions.
And let me ask you this, because I don't think we set it up or knew the first time. Is the guy who said that actually on the morning show as they're talking to Tom Brady?
I think he's on the morning show. I don't know
He's
if he's
on there
on
like as a third voice or a producer or
I
something
believe
like
so.
that? Okay. all right.
Exactly. So here's what ensued Tom Brady on WEI in Boston this morning. So there's Tom Brady on WEI. Okay, I'm leading.
So Alex Reamer is like he's not on that show. Alex Reamer is the guy that said what he said. And well, he'd been suspended.
I had read that he was a contributor to that
so he's
show.
a contributor to that show. But
Either way.
He's one of these guys that works around the station.
Yes.
But he'd been suspended for that statement.
I didn't know that part.
Listen to it the second time.
It sounded a little bit harsher.
I can see it sounded a little bit harsher. But now, like, okay, the station suspended the guy.
Yeah.
The guy's just speaking on a radio show.
Yeah.
They suspend him for it, and that's not enough of a pound of flesh for Tom Brady, mighty Tom Brady. He needs to take it out on these two guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, I listen. I'll be willing to say unpopular things. Here's my thing. Nobody goes on.
It's not going to be that unpopular.
No, fair enough. Nobody goes on the radio and they're like, listen, I'm going to develop a sports radio career, and one of the reasons I want to do it is I can criticize people's kids. On the other hand, if you're watching a show like this, which is basically, I haven't seen the show yet, but what it seems to me, what I've read about it, is dedicated to Tom Brady, his off-field life, and what he does to prepare for football at the age of 40, and the kind of things that he does. So it'll feature his wife and his family, all that kind of stuff. So let's put it this way: let's say there was
the Kardashians.
Yeah, like let's say there was a show. That's an example.
It is the Kardashians.
Okay, let's say J.J. Watt had the same kind of show, right?
Yeah.
And I watched this show, and one of my opinions from the show is I'm annoyed by this member of J.J. Watt's family who's featured in it. Do I just lie to the audience?
Yeah.
Do I not say it? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I guess you don't do it in the way he did it, where he said it. Because I'll admit that hearing it the second time, it's not like you said like she's being a little pissant. It was like she's being an annoying little pissant. That was a bit more venomous.
But don't we have to see how she was acting?
Yes.
I feel like we have to watch the tape and just see how bad she was being.
That's like Mark Wahlberg's kid was apparently flipping out, throwing a tantrum on the floor of a luxury suite at the Super Bowl in the third quarter when his team was down, and that's why Wahlberg left. Like, that sounds like that kid was being a pissant.
Yeah.
Is this kid? We got
to watch the tape
as radio professionals. Okay. We need to watch this probably abomination of a television show to see whether she was indeed being a pissant.
Well, people seem to be enjoying this show. They've enjoyed the inside look at what it's like for him to get ready and to what he puts his body.
What's a successful Facebook show? How many people watch a Facebook show?
You could throw out
a clue what this is.
You could throw out any number, and I feel
like
clue.
This is a big win for Facebook.
1 million?
Facebook needs wins.
Couple 100,000?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But that's my question. That clearly, if Brady is willing to let the television cameras into his home, then he is putting.
You're opening yourself up to it.
Yeah, you're opening yourself up to that sort of thing.
You've got to be, if you want to be a Kardashian, Tom Brady, if you want to achieve what that family has achieved, you got to be able to handle some slings and barbs along the way. I know you think you've done something with your nearly 2 decades of football dominance here, but you don't know what the Kardashians know. You don't know what the Jenner family knows. You just go ahead and you just stepped into their world, compadre.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine if we had one of our weekly interviews and we go to this person and something ensues where this person's like, hey, somebody on the weekend said this about me, so I'm not going to talk to you guys anymore.
Yeah, that would be like him not talking to Dan Shaughnessy said something, so he's not going to talk to any other Globe reporters. Dan Shaughnessy, the writer for whichever newspaper he writes for up there.
And that sometimes does happen. But I do think the host of that show on WEI, they seem to handle that exchange pretty well.
Doesn't make sense, though. This is kind of, he's buddies with Trump, and Trump will do the same, where he'll try to boycott a whole outlet. That's what he's done here now. He's dissatisfied with that outlet, so he's just cutting out that entire outlet.
Man, I really need the Eagles to win on Sunday. That'll make me so happy.
It's not gonna. Why would it make you happy?
It'll make me so happy.
Anything for you're a Jets fan who's still going to be in the same division with the New England Patriots, and Tom Brady's going to play 10 more years.
Listen, I think the world would be a better place if the Falcons won last year. I truly believe that.
The Patriots could lose the next 4 Super Bowls they're in, and it doesn't do a thing to diminish their legacy. If anything, it still augments their legacy because they made it to 4 more Super Bowls.
That's fine, but that's already been calculated into my feelings already. The point is they wouldn't get their 6 this year, at least. They wouldn't get number 6, and that is the critically important thing for me.
Would you like it if it was cited largely as the Seth Wickersham expose was the reason for it? Would you like it? Do you want there to be turmoil? You want them to feel pain? You want them to? It's like when
that would be nice.
It's like the perfect family on the block that you kind of secretly wish, all right, they're not so perfect. I bet somebody's a bastard in that family.
Well, you know my feeling on that sort of dynamic. That people are always talking about that family. They're like, hey, and then if something goes
they're
wrong,
not so great.
Exactly, and then something goes wrong, and then there's a lot of drama and intrigue.
Let me tell you something. The perfect family where I grew up, the Aparos, they were that perfect.
They were.
I refuse to not believe it. I still think and I used to be they're the family that taught me not to be jealous. because I used to think like, what the hell's up with these? They're always so nice,
Yep.
and like that Brian is this awesome wrestler and everything. And it just turned out after I got to know him over
They
the
were
years,
still
they're awesome, and I was a jerk forever doubting it or wondering it. They were just like good, pure people.
melts down on the way. Why we have not discussed one of the biggest stories in sports or around sports over the course of the last couple of weeks. We're here on Radio Row, thanks to Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. Let me I'll pay off the Michael Sam at the start of this segment.
Oh,
also.
shoot. Yeah, we didn't do that.
It was that they drafted him to avoid Hard Knocks.
Yep. Michael Sam.
I don't like what Captain Mickey said at 4 a.m. on set. Oh, no more interviews with Mad Radio.
Captain Mickey. Yeah, we got to get that ball pregame
Okay,
speech.
ball and okay. Just have that ready. Let me put that in. Have that ready. We'll see how this segment goes. Okay. All right. So this is this is the hell. Okay. So this is the LeVar Ball pregame speech to the Lithuania team, right? Okay. I think he was a guest coach for a day.
Some weird shit going on there.
All right. The towel. Hang on. No.
Do.
Well, how short can you make it? If you can make it 90 seconds or less. Oh, do me a favor. If you can get less than 90 seconds of whatever you think works, let me know. It's 90 seconds. All right, I'll toss to it. Okay. Izzo. Okay. God, why are these breaks so short? I didn't know we were coming back. I would have extended these segments a little bit. I guess we'll come back on time, so it's fine. One thing I want to clear up here as we are in Radio Row in Minneapolis, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. We are also live at SportsRadio610.com on the Low T Center webcam. We were discussing the Raiders a little bit earlier this hour and how there was a report by Mike Freeman of Bleacher Report that since they kind of broke the spirit of the Rooney Rule with the hiring of John Gruden, even though they technically did not, Mike Freeman reported that the NFL was pushing them to sign Colin Kaepernick to kind of make up for that. Well, Michael Sam was brought up, and I remember there was a report about what the NFL's role was with Michael Sam, and Howard Balzer a few years ago with 590 The Fan in St. Louis reported that the Rams, what the NFL did was they apparently pushed the idea of them drafting Michael Sam in the 7th, 6th round, whatever it was, and they would not be then forced to appear on Hard Knocks.
Oh, all right. So they put a little carrot on a stick there.
I don't think that report has been verified.
Okay.
But that
Did
is
he
a report
throw it
that
out
is
there as conjecture? Like, did he openly say maybe this is what happened? We see that happen more and more these days. There's somebody I saw a report this weekend in which somebody cited a text from his cousin.
Yep, that was the thing that happened.
LeBron might come to Houston. Why? Because my cousin's a fan in Cleveland, and this is what he thought.
It's not even that's what he thought. It was like that was some of the chatter around town.
Yeah, this is the chatter around town.
Yeah.
My cousin who has no connection with the team. So I guess is that plausible? I suppose. I don't think though that. I don't think most owners would appreciate the commissioner acting as well. I don't think they would like him swinging his weight around that much.
I don't think they'd like it either. I could see from the NFL standpoint, I could see it's where if they were nervous, will Michael Sam get drafted? Like I do tangibly believe that if Michael Sam had not been drafted, it would have been a bad look for the NFL.
Yeah.
And maybe they wanted to find some way to do it. So since they force one team to appear on Hard Knocks, they use that leverage to say, hey, I'm sure Jeff Fisher doesn't want to be on Hard Knocks. It's a 7th-round pick. Do us a solid, draft this guy. We won't put you on Hard Knocks.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Jeff. Look at all the other people that squandered their careers under Jeff Fisher. Maybe Michael Sam. Maybe the NFL did Michael Sam a really a disservice by having him get drafted to the Rams, where they take good talent and squander it. Michael Sam could be like Defensive Player of the Year this year if he'd gone somewhere else.
So we have not talked about the Larry Nassar story much.
We really haven't. And one of your friends kind of was nagging me about it this weekend. And I honestly asked why we hadn't talked more about it. And I honestly don't have a good answer for her other than that I think every day, it's not like we've shied away from it, but there comes a point where you're talking about a legal proceeding. And I guess I'm guilty of this. It feels too much like the ones we've seen before, and I thought that we had made more progress than we had in all of this. After Penn State, I think there's been a lot of progress made in terms of administrators and coaches understanding that there's no judgment involved. Like, you just report things when you hear them, and most importantly, athletic directors and sports departments have gotten better at doing that. It fell through in Baylor, and I think what you're seeing now is more swift punishment, swift resignations. With Michigan State, you've seen just a host of resignations now. The problem is still in how long it takes for all of it to come to light. We've gotten to the point now where when there is recognition that something's been going on and it finally does see the light of day, I feel like punishment is swift.
Yes.
The problem is, how is it still taking this long? How did it take that long for it to come to the light at Michigan State and with USA Gymnastics? And why are complaints still getting buried on some level? And I honestly, I don't have a good answer for it other than just simple human nature. For whatever reason, when it comes to this stuff, people are very reluctant to make waves. And I'm not even saying that like passing judgment on anybody. There are a whole lot of parents out there that feel really, really awful this happened to their children, and they're probably racked by guilt.
Of course,
that they either, some of the parents have said they flat out didn't believe their children. How does it get to that point? And like I as a parent just wonder, how do I prevent that from? How do I prevent myself from being in the same situation? If other human beings have had this happen under their noses, how do you prevent it? And the biggest thing, and this is what I still don't get with Nassar, I don't understand how he was allowed to be alone with minors and perform those examinations unsupervised for so long. I don't understand how even without any complaints.
Yes.
If I'm a supervisor at Michigan State or in USA Gymnastics, even if nobody was complaining, but I found out that this was that there was any kind of a pelvic examination going on, and there was no parental involvement or supervision or no other adult in the room, that alone is unprofessional enough. And then when you extend it into what he was doing, which was downright monstrous, that's where we'll do the same thing. We're going to fire a bunch of people. A bunch of people will resign.
School president, AD at Michigan State.
But I don't know. I guess what's the next step now? Because there's something above and beyond just the letter of the law. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Antonio or Izzo. It seems like on the surface of it, they're very comfortable in saying they reported everything. I more worry about what's happening between the kids telling the person that's not telling the head coach.
Yes.
That one step below. Head coaches, for the most part, now understand what they have to do, and they're going to get caught and found out if they don't. But that first person that hears the complaint from the girl, what happens there?
I don't know. One of my reactions initially to the story, like I try to, no matter what story we talk about on this show every day from 6 to 10, I always try to think to myself before we discuss it, what can I say about this story that is interesting, that could be interesting to the audience?
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons why we didn't talk about it is twofold. One, I felt like I didn't really have much interesting to say. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, it's a monstrous situation that happened at Michigan State and USA Gymnastics. And I feel like everybody obviously has that opinion. So what can I really add? Number one. And two, I mean, there is the elements of we don't want to bury people with stories that are too negative in the morning as well. But it is obviously a big deal. And as far as, so my reaction to the story again was it was crazy that something like this was allowed to happen for such a long time. Now, the thing that changed on Friday was this ESPN Outside the Line story in which they talked about basically the way Michigan State, which employed Larry Nassar for this whole time, has dealt with sexual assault, violence allegations, which then implicated the basketball program and the football program.
Yeah.
My major takeaway from that story, Seth, when I read it, I went through it on Saturday after I called the Lamar McNeese game in Beaumont on Saturday, was I thought Michigan State looked especially bad because on multiple occasions, ESPN, even before all this stuff was going on right now, was going after Michigan State, trying to get different kind of records for how they handle these allegations. And Michigan State, they were sued by ESPN. They lost in court. They had to pay ESPN attorney's fees.
Yeah.
So they weren't willing to disclose information. A lot of the stuff they got was like heavily redacted. I thought it painted Michigan State as a school administratively in a very negative light.
Yeah.
That was my main takeaway.
And clearly it paints them in a negative light. I mean, it's a scandal. I think as far as what can you bring to it or add to it, this is what I would say. When I was about 12 years old, I was examined by a doctor, and I was by myself in the room, and it got like all of a sudden it got weird. I'm gonna get very serious here for a moment.
Yep.
It got very weird. Like the guy, like I had to have a nose culture, and it was very uncomfortable. It sucks.
Yeah.
And then so he gave me a hug and like held the hug a little too long, and I kind of like squirmed away from him. And it was like, what the hell? So I got the hell out of I kind of like left, and I'm like
had that instinct.
Like I'm just like a confident 12-year-old and everything. I wasn't. I got the hell out of there. And I told my mom, I was like, that guy's weird. That guy's just weird. And my mom was like, and my mom's really. I'll tell some good stories about my mom stepping in other situations, but there's no reason that she should have thought that I was saying he was a pedophile or anything. This guy 10 years later ends up getting arrested for abusing a child whom he was counseling over the death of that child's father. Like just he was a monster, this guy, and he'd been doing it for over 10 years at this pediatrician's office where I was. He was like the fill-in doctor that day when my guy was sick. And I honestly, from that point forward, when I became a parent, aside from other things I know about abuse and people's capacity for things, like I don't allow my child to be alone with an adult in that setting. And it's like, I don't care how offended you are by it. That's as a matter. Yeah. Like I've been in situations before where I basically insisted that an adult be present with that I be present with another minor, and the person got like offended by it, and I filed a complaint. It's just like if you're an adult male, you expect other parents to basically treat you like you're a predator. Like that's what you have to do. Like I'm very on guard for everything that goes on. And I just don't know how the institutions don't have that. I don't understand how the institutions don't have those policies in place where they allow Nassar to be alone with a child. I don't get it.
I agree with you, and that makes a lot of sense. As far as the story on Friday on ESPN.com, what I'm not sure about is, so they have these different reports about how Mark D'Antonio has handled these allegations with his football program. He had to kick a couple players off his team back in January, and then you had Tom Izzo, and he had one situation which I had heard about with Keith Appling and Adrian Payne, two of his players who were accused of sexual assault a couple of years ago, and nothing really came of it. I think we have two major issues when it comes to this sort of stuff. Number one, from a legal system standpoint, I mean, the criminal standard is proof beyond a reasonable doubt, right?
Yeah.
And so it's very hard with these kind of stories when most of the time it's going to be he said, she said. to prove that at that level. That's a major issue that you have with these situations. So you read just a litany of these stories on ESPN Outside the Lines, and a lot of it was, here's the accusation made. The prosecutors didn't do anything,
Right.
and that's basically where we left it off. I think the other thing, as far as sexual assault on campus goes, whether it's Baylor, whether it's the Florida State accusation with Winston, or this situation, I think one of the major problems that we have is if you're a woman on one of these campuses and you accuse a prominent athlete or any athlete from a major program of sexual assault, that is a brutal situation to be in. Look at what they write about those women on warchant.com or spartanmag.com or whatever. I'm sure they're putting their names out there. It's a brutal situation to be in.
And that's a thing that I don't know if that gets better for like another 20 years.
I agree, unfortunately.
I think like guys your age and younger actually like treat women a lot better than guys my age and older. I see like some of the guys my age and older, even like in a professional environment, when I hear the way they talk about women, some of them, I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, are you a caveman?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird. It's just weird. And then like, it's not a sensitivity thing. It's just like more a world view. I think that changes over time, hopefully, and the next generation will be more advanced. But you're right. The other thing though, too, is again, like you said, it's hard to prove. It's hard to prove guilt in those situations. But you can't give predators the opportunity to be predators. As much as possible, you can't have it at a stage. So that internal report by Michigan State said that they disapproved of some of the ways he was handling things, including not informing of them of what was going on, not telling parents, all these things, having unsupervised examinations. Those things continued, even though there wasn't proof, and even though they couldn't judge him guilty, they still allowed the predator time to be with potential victims.
Yes,
and that's where it's unforgivable as an institution.
And then one of the stories, and this will be the last point I make real quick on this, is one of the stories that came out was one of the players on Mark D'Antonio's football team apparently was accused of some kind of sexual assault or violence. And long story short, what happened was basically somebody called, and the only punishment was they made the player talk to his mother. And so you read stuff like that, and you're like, how in the world is this possible with these sorts of allegations? So I know that's a little bit serious and negative for the morning, but it is a big story that obviously needs to be discussed. That will do it for the Meltdown here on this Monday on Radio Row in Minneapolis, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. We'll finish up with our friend John Lopez. Also, what a LeVar Ball pregame speech sounds like in Lithuania. We're here on Radio Row, brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I was not going in there, but I can't hear.
Yeah.
I can't focus when.
Yeah. That was good.
Brandon's calling you, Landry.
Oh.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, hit week 4, 3, 2, 1. Week 4, 3, 2, 1, and then forward.
No, dude, it was.
I remember you said that story before. Yeah,
that story. But then, like, I was in with my wife once because my wife, she was having some issues, and I like wanted to be there for the like. I'd take notes and everything when she sees her doctor, so I want to hear everything. So we were in with this OBGYN, and the guy acted like offended that I was in there.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it was at the Cleveland Clinic. Like, it was like at a big as I complained about it. I sent in a.
I saw Prisco walk by. Hey, John. All right, Brandon. So have that LeVar ready. We'll talk to John first.
What floor is that place on?
Yeah.
What's it called? Great Steak.
Great Steak. Just go down. It's on the right.
I bet they've got breakfast till 11. I don't like these close quarters.
Yeah, it's close.
Is that going to be WEI? Oh, they're not going to have the morning show here at all?
No, they will eventually.
Ask if the dude that talks smack about Brady's kid is going to be here. Really?
He was suspended indefinitely.
I should.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna. Yeah, but they don't all know that. I'm gonna pretend I'm him. I'm gonna like with a real thick Boston accent.
That's funny.
These kids are little crumb snatches.
So I'm good with Izzo. That's fine.
Brady's kids are all
so
over
have
the
the
place.
LeVar Ball ready.
You think Riley Curry's annoying? These kids, they'll come up.
Hey, give me a mic check, Lopez.
Test. Hello, test. How's that?
How's that, Porter?
Hello, test. Test one. Test one.
Bang, bang, bang.
9.3 million views for the Tom Brady show. Wow, that's
I way
that's
undershot.
got to be pretty good.
We got to watch that. I got to watch that. Yeah.
Hello, test one. Test one. Hello.
Pull it down a little.
What's happening, boys?
Andre Tippett was like, "Hello, good afternoon."
Yeah, up there
Right behind you.
Oh,
you mean that Andre Tippett?
that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
That's right.
Hey, we're
Hello, test. Test one. Hello, test. Twin Peaks.
eat drinks.
You should see the Michigan message boards on this story.
Oh,
They're just like,
They're just like, it's like I've never understood like these schools that make Baylor jokes after they beat
I
them.
know.
Now it's like, what are you getting out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bad look for Michigan State, man, all the way around.
oh yeah.
It's a,
What do you think is
No,
going to happen
I
with
think it's
Izzo?
Boy, talk about somebody who sounded like he was guilty from the moment he opened his mouth.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's a bad look for Mateen Cleaves.
Well, honestly,
I'm dead serious. I'm being dead serious. It's a bad
Izzo-
look for Mateen Cleaves.
Izzo should not have taken questions on that yesterday.
No, I'm
He
not
should
talking. But I mean, I'm
And that's a rare.
Why did he
take
just
from
not
me.
say, "Look, I don't know about the investigation.
Yes,
we
let
try
me-
to cooperate as much
that's
as we
what I'm
can."
saying.
That was a long time ago. I'll be glad to answer once I know all the facts.
But
those-
that's
those-
what I'm saying.
those-
the fact that he started talking, he couldn't have looked more
Stand by.
guilty.
Mad Radio, Sports Radio 610. We are live at Radio Row, day number 1, thanks to Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. You can check us out as well on the webcam at sportsradio610.com, the Low T Center webcam. And every guest who joins us is in the Twin Peaks hot seat. John Lopez, good morning. How are you?
I'm in the Twin Peaks hot seat.
You are in the Twin Peaks hot seat.
I
That is
really
correct.
am.
Yes.
I feel honored.
It was you. It was Andre Tippett this morning as well. Tomorrow, Sage Rosenfels at 8 o'clock. Jermichael Finley at 9. How was your morning in Minneapolis?
Fantastic. I didn't walk over here like Landry.
Yeah, these guys walked here.
Well,
I feel
here's the
guilty
thing.
now.
Seth is no surprise because Seth does everything physical. He rides his bike to work
Yep.
and all that stuff. Landry talking smack to me about walking a mile in cold weather when I literally on the airplane yesterday asked Landry, "Hey, you want to go ice fishing with me?" Nah, man, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a.
I think in Landry's defense, he puts that in two different kinds of categories. One is normal physical exercise. The other is a gigantic commitment to being invested in cold weather.
You know what's weird though too? Last night we took an Uber from here. We were setting everything up, and then we took an Uber back to the hotel, which is a mile away.
Yeah.
And I just kind of casually said, "Yeah, I'm going to walk back in the morning." And this Uber driver, who I presume is a Minnesotan, like looked at me in
Like,
shock
are
and
you
horror.
insane?
Like, you're gonna walk? You're gonna walk this? I'm like, it's a mile. What are you doing? But it kind of got into
Got
my
in your
brain.
head a little bit.
And I got halfway over here this morning. I was like, maybe I didn't have enough clothes on. I started. It was like it's like a Jack London novel,
They're
man.
gonna
I started
find
freaking
you in
out.
a snowbank
Yeah.
somewhere.
I mean, our hotel is not that far away from the Mall of America here in Minneapolis, but it's kind of like
It's a
like-
circuitous route.
if you were like in the Galleria and
Yeah.
you were trying to like cross 610 by walking.
Bingo.
It's not that far, but then you have to like go to the
Yes.
underpass and walk, and then you don't know where there's a sidewalk. And I got up at
Your
4:45.
explanation for not walking a mile is circuitous.
I didn't know where it
But
was.
that is a good
I-
visual.
I,
Yeah.
didn't
That is a
know.
good visual.
You guys geographically mapped it out well last night. I went this morning. I don't know where this
It's a
hotel.
complex L route.
Yes, I don't
it's
know
an
where the
L.
L. I don't
You
know where the
go-
L goes.
This is what you do. You go out and you turn right, and you're there. And you can see the entrance from our hotel.
I didn't know
Like,
that.
when
There's a
when
giant-
you walk out the front
I
of our
did not
hotel,
know
you can
that.
see the entrance.
I did not know that.
Giant IKEA.
Yeah.
that you
I
just-
saw the IKEA.
It's right next to the IKEA.
Okay,
R.I.P.
Yeah.
I'll know.
IKEA founder.
I took.
Yeah,
I took.
I know.
Yeah.
I took.
You
a
know,
look
they
at
had
the-
to put together his
He's like
casket.
90. That's like, what is it? A shame?
They had to put together his casket out of particle board
Stop it. Stop
and about 100,000
That's-
Phillips head
that's like-
screws.
That's a pretty good version of that joke that I've heard for the 18th time this morning.
I was the first one.
Yeah.
I tweeted it yesterday morning.
I kind of feel bad. Was I too negative on your coworker Cody about his
No,
wardrobe
you,
on
you-
the
you
airplane?
You can never be too negative.
Cody,
on Cody.
Cody,
Never.
I saw from your Twitter feed that Cody brings his own towel.
Dude,
everywhere.
we're gonna talk about this.
Okay.
okay.
You know what though? I think I'll tell you. I think he might be onto something here.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
No.
It's a beach
It's a
towel
beach towel. It's a
the size of a blanket.
bigger than you can get in a hotel.
Okay.
But they
Advantage.
give you can use more than one towel, Seth. They
Right,
give
but-
you like 7 towels.
But that creates a mess like we had in my bathroom this morning because Meltzer took a shower last night. I get up in the bathroom this morning. There's like 4 towels strewn about the bathroom.
But you're forgetting one key element. He's
Oh.
going to use 1 towel for a week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of weird.
Well, you can go wash it. I'm going to do some laundry tomorrow.
I don't think he's going to. You might.
I'll do that towel for you for your own peace of mind.
That's right. So we got that. We're going to talk about towels in Minnesota. And I noticed that Landry's already an expert on Minnesotans. Yeah.
Yes, he's an expert. Yeah, they're big.
Oh, yeah.
They're big Patriots fans because they're very anti-Eagles. They don't like how they were treated in Philadelphia last week.
I need to get some more details, though, about what they did to Case Keenum's family. Actually, somebody back in Houston should be able to tell us.
Well, I feel like Case should be able to say what happened.
I mean, unless it was that bad. Maybe decorum prevents it. Case being the nice, upstanding, morally, he doesn't want to say exactly what they did. Maybe it involved urine or something. I don't know.
Who knows? So,
And we got it's always fluid when you're at Radio Row. By the way, this is a pretty cool place. I've been to Minnesota a lot. Never stepped foot in the Mall of America, believe it or not.
Well, here you are.
And I'm here now.
I'm going to step into a beef jerky store for the first time in my life because there's one 20 yards from me.
How about
Solid.
that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say. Like the guests are going to be fluid. But we're going to have right behind you, Damon Amendolara is going to join us, and all kinds of things. We're talking about dirty towels. Kind of a weird feeling in our hotel. I don't feel entirely comfortable at our hotel. It's a great hotel. Don't get me wrong.
yes, and John has good reasons for not feeling totally comfortable.
Yes.
So in the loop coming up at the top of the hour. Thank you very much, John. We'll chat with him tomorrow at 9:45 as well. So let's finish up with this. So this is LeVar Ball. Obviously, his sons, 2 of his younger sons, are playing in Lithuania for that professional team. This is LeVar Ball giving them.
Well, because he was an assistant coach, so this would be his first time being a professional coach.
Yes.
They named him assistant coach. He's let me set the table for you. They're in the locker room. It's LeVar Ball wearing a suit. It's his couple of sons, and then some really pasty white dudes sitting around watching. That's pretty good, actually. This is short, it's to the point. No big grandiose speech or
That
anything.
sounded like something you would give to rec league basketball in 4th or 5th
Just
grade.
gonna go whip that ass, run fast. That's
Am
what
I wrong?
He thinks that.
They can't say the A word in rec league.
Okay, fair point. Yes,
My favorite thing about LeVar Ball is when he relates back to his experiences as an AAU coach and wonders why they don't do that in the NBA. Like it's simple. All you do is have 2 of the most freakish athletes on the court out there, and you run a lot. Well, I don't understand what's so hard about this.
Yeah, what's so difficult about it? All right, so what did we learn today on the show? So we learned that the people here in Minneapolis are big Patriot fans over the course of the week.
Yeah.
The Texans hired John Pagano to be their outside linebackers coach. That's a hire that I liked. The Rockets won Sunday. They lost Trevor Ariza to a hamstring injury. We'll find out later today exactly the extent of that injury. Also, I guess really the biggest thing that happened to the Rockets this weekend is what happened to the other team in their first game this weekend. Yeah, Cousins going down with a torn Achilles tendon.
If you look at the various big men around the league that might be problems for the Houston Rockets, and either Clint Capella or Ryan Anderson, a combination of the two, I had this slight nagging little fear in the depths of my soul that, like, what if the Rockets lost to the Pelicans in the first round of the playoffs?
This might sound
what just because of the match, like when you run into a team that's just a bad matchup for you, what if? And then I wouldn't be able to. I might not be able to sleep for 2 months if that happens.
I mean, this might sound crazy, but I'm not really, and you know me, I'm someone who gets nervous about everything, or at least a little bit worried. I'm not really too worried about the Rockets in the first round.
Right, I know that, which is why it would be even that worse. That's what I'm saying. It was just an inkling of a fear of a premonition. It was just, it's that matchup difficulty that it presents, and that's all that it was. I don't think that would be likely or anything, but that would be. It's one thing to have a miserable Game 6 versus the Spurs.
Yes,
it'd be a whole nother level to be a complete collapse versus the Pelicans.
That would be a calamity, and what that means right now in the West is that you got the Pelicans at number 6 with 22 losses. Portland tied with 22 losses, then Denver at number 8 with 23 losses. So the Pelicans are likely to take a bit of a tumble. The Clippers would be the next team in right now, as they are 2 games back in the loss column of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Well, and one of the things that came up earlier was we were talking about whether the Rockets would get to 60-plus wins this year or not. And I think a lot of what we've heard from listeners, and it's something that I agree with, is the last thing we want is for this team to be pushing for anything in the last 10 games of the year. We saw last year what happened when James Harden was making his push for the MVP. He played too many minutes. It was too taxing, and it at least partly probably contributed to Game 6 from last year. I want everybody fresh and healthy and happy.
We're here on Radio Row thanks to Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. Check us out, Low T Center, Webcam, SportsRadio610.com. Every guest is in the Twin Peaks hot seat. Tomorrow, Sage Rosenfels will join us at 8 in the Loop with Cody Stutz and John Lopez is next, live from Radio Row.
Thank you. All right, Brandon, hey, can you just email that to Edwin, the promo? Can you just email the tomorrow promo to Edwin? Okay, perfect. Thanks, brother. Hey, great job today. We appreciate it, man. Hey, y'all might want to do the same thing. We recorded our tomorrow promo before. We're done. I would do it before the triple threat gets here. Yeah. Yeah. It's quiet. Ungrateful. Ungrateful towel bringer. Melts, where are you going? Melts, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going to go hang out? At the coffee shop? Hey, let me know when you leave if you do, because I'll be done at 12.
I realized I got my jacket in there, but then I also needed to pad my computer. My whole plan was to have my suitcase the whole week instead of my briefcase, plus the pad. But I'm second guessing it. This is a pain in the butt. I rolled it over with extra room. How your wheels doing? That's worse.
Shorts are worse. Shorts are worse. No, shorts and a t-shirt's worse.
I got room. I can spin over. Well, honestly, Jones is getting good at bullets. How did Jonesy feel? How did Jonesy feel like the way he left it was a good setup? Bad look. And he said he was here till 9. It took you till 9 to fuck that up. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? Good to see you. You too. Nice rescue boat action. Oh, you saw that? Holy crap! You used to do anything? Have anything else? No ice. We had a couple weeks ago. Froze everything. Okay. Everything's great, man. How about you? Good. You know what? For me, put your deal in here, and that way we all use one stuff. Well, I got USB ones over here. Oh, they do? Yeah. Yeah, I don't need this one. You guys doing good. Where's the USB? Right here? Yeah, on the back. Why are you shaking? Thank you. Yeah, how did anybody leave this? Oh, shoot. That's just crazy.
Can't believe we made it. How's my level? Carlos Bake Shop looks pretty good.
Ooh. Yes, indeed it is. In the loop on Sports Radio 610, sportsradio610.com, the Low T Center webcam on sportsradio610.com. Lots of great stuff coming your way live from Radio Row in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thanks to our friends at Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. John Lopez, Cody Stutes here with you until 2. And boy, do we have a fun show planned for you today. And before John can beat me to it, how are you, Johnny?
Okay, yeah, you betcha. I'm good. I'm doing good. How about y'all?
I don't think they say y'all up here.
No, they do. They say you all.
How
How about you all? Yeah, okay, I'm good. You betcha.
Guys?
Yeah, you betcha.
Guys up here. Yeah. Oh, okay.
It is the Great White North. I'm excited, man.
Bold North.
The Bold North is what they're calling it this week, right?
Yes. But there is a lot of white on the ground. There's a lot of black snow, which I don't know what that is.
Yeah, the black snow you want to stay away from. But no, I'm excited, man. Radio Row. This is 9 in a row for me. So good. I think this is my 19th or 20th
show off.
19th or 20th Super Bowl, which is always fun. Look, dude, this is don't give me a hard time because there's plenty to cover with you.
Okay.
That we will get to at some point.
Oh, well,
maybe sooner rather than later.
I mean, let's start with that right now. I mean, we get to the airport yesterday, and first one out of the chute is we have 10 of our 11 members as we're getting ready to board the plane.
Yep.
And then just right down the walkway, like nothing was ever wrong. Here comes Ted Johnson.
Like he owns the place. like he owns the place.
It was Ted Johnson International Airport, not George Bush.
I'd rather talk about you, to be honest.
Okay, well, fire away. Where do you want to start?
I would. Okay, where do we start?
Hold on. Where do you want to start, NASCAR? Because that's what you sound like when you sleep.
Oh yeah, sure. I told you. I told you I snore.
I know.
I snore for about 1 hour. After that, I stop snoring. It's
Yeah.
the darndest thing. But it's a hell of a ride.
I'll time you tonight.
It's a hell of a ride. I told you. I said I'm going to snore.
Right. That doesn't. I told you I'm going to bring my own towel.
You did not.
Yes,
You didn't tell me
did.
that. So here's the biggest issue I have with you. Let me tell you all the problems I have with you. The biggest is we're staying at a very nice hotel. It really is. I feel a little bit uncomfortable around all some of the areas. Let's say, put it that way. But it's a very nice hotel. I tweeted out a picture today, and it's a little 2-panel collage. On the right is about 6 fresh, clean, big towels.
Yes.
And they replace those towels literally every day that we're here with brand new, fresh, clean, big towels.
They ask you if you don't need the replacement to maybe just stick them up on the,
Yes, but they do replace them.
They replace them if you want.
They
sure.
do replace them. Meanwhile, you decided to bring your own towel, which is the size of a comforter, and use one towel the entire week.
So here's the thing. This is where, because it's my plan, not your plan, my plan is superior to your plan.
No, it's not.
So here's the thing. My towel that I brought is not only larger than the hotel towels, which are always very tiny.
These aren't that tiny.
Takes 2 to 3 to dry me off. Okay. A large man. My towel's not only bigger, it is much softer than the hotel towels.
Not when there's going to be Cody grit all over it by Wednesday.
But John, this is where you think you know the plan. Just when you think you have all the answers, I change the questions.
And that is?
Seth does laundry midweek.
You're gonna give your dirty, grimy towel to Seth to do laundry.
Seth's gonna wash my towel for me. I'm just going to toss him a couple bucks. I'll pay for one of his loads of laundry. I'll toss in my towel, and then I'll have a fresh, clean towel midweek, just like you do every day when you kill the environment.
You're filthy.
No, I'm not.
You are.
No, I'm not.
Filthy.
No,
so that's where we are. It's fun. It's going to be here. We're going to have guests like crazy. It's already bustling around here, and certainly, we're going to have all kinds of. We're going to be on the webcam, HD. By the way, we're in high definition.
Yes, the Low T Center webcam.
Thanks to Garrett, the web guy, who is here.
I heard he didn't actually do anything setting it up yesterday, though.
Really?
I heard he didn't do anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he did more than Jonesy did.
We got to take a picture of this.
Look at this.
We got to take a picture of this. We'll tweet it out on Sports Radio 610's Twitter account. Hashtag 610 Radio Row all week. All week. You don't want to miss any of that.
I mean, what the hell is this? Come on.
It looks like.
You know what I used to tell my kids when they were little?
It looks like a little kid. Like imagine all the cable wires that we have for all the equipment. Imagine it being a child's bowl of spaghetti, but that child was like a 3-year-old and threw it all over the wall. That's what it looks like. It's just you cannot trace the start and end of any cable.
No. And when my kids were little, like 6 and 7 years old, and they would just leave all their toys everywhere. Did you take a picture of this?
Yes.
Okay, tweet that out. This is supposed to be organized. When they were little, and they used to drive them crazy, and they're leaving toys everywhere and leaving their dishes, unrinsed off and all that. I used to tell them, is this the way you wipe when you go to the bathroom? So I ask you, Jonesy, look at the picture that Cody's about to tweet out.
Oh, man.
Is this the way you wipe when you go to the bathroom? Because then we have a real problem. Then we'll have a real problem.
Oh, man. All right, so outside of our situation.
Here's the thing. Like, every time I need to hit the cough button, I just, hit all these. Like, I hit all these wires right here, and I know the cough button is under it somewhere.
That's great.
Christ.
Oh, man. All right, so for those of you who don't know where Radio Row is, we haven't discussed that yet, or you can't tell by the pictures. We're in the middle of a mall.
We're Mall of America.
We're in the middle of the Mall of America. In the food court, there's all these various eateries around us. Everybody who's everybody in radio is here. We're all hanging out. And the Minnesota people don't have nearly as much signage up as I thought they would.
In terms of what?
There's one giant photo, and it's Tom Brady and Nick Foles.
Oh, yeah. Why is Nick Foles on that picture?
We couldn't put Fletcher Cox on there, one of the 4 highest paid defensive players in the NFL. We couldn't put that up there.
Yeah, something like that.
So there's one big thing, and then there's a little bit of signage, and then we're right here in the Mall of America, and there's people doing their mall walking, just walking by.
Literally, mall walkers were coming right by us.
What are these people doing here?
I love Minnesotans already, though.
Oh, they're great people.
They're the kind of people that are so friendly, but you can tell they have a little cynical side. Who was it? Was it Glenn Mason, the old Minnesota Golden? Wasn't he the Golden Gophers coach, Glenn Mason? He used to say the thing about Minnesotans is they'll give you directions everywhere except to their house. That's a great line. They're really friendly. They'll help you out, but they don't want you here for very long. They really don't.
Right. They're happy to have you visit.
Yeah.
Don't want you to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want you to stay. We got plenty of stuff coming your way from Radio Row this week. John mentioned a lot of the great guests that we have coming your way today and throughout the week. We'll tell you all about those as the show goes on. But we're here, of course, ahead of the Super Bowl. So let's get into some of that Super Bowl conversation. Eagles, Patriots coming your way this weekend. And Tom Brady, a little off-the-field distraction that he had to take care of. He took care of his business this morning. You'll hear that next in the loop. Sports Radio 610, live from Radio Row here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, thanks to our friends at Bud Light, and catch us on the Low T Center webcam.
Yo, Figgy, I don't have my Wi-Fi is not working. So when's my first read? If we have, okay, Garrett, it's not working at all. It's not connecting. Hashtag media is not working. I know. I'm saying it's just checking network requirements.
Did you put those in? I don't see them on here. You said 11? Oh, 11:41 is the first one. Oh, there we go. I see them now. So there was previously a media that I was hooked up to that I had to forget and then do this one again. Maybe that'll help, Garrett. And you see how we're going to toss to those, right, Edward? I said, you see how we're going to toss to those, right? All right, cool.
Oh, there it is. That's as far as I got. What did you do? I forgot it.
So I think much like mine, I think you were previously hooked up to a hashtag media. Oh. So it had those things saved. And so when you try to connect and the disconnected, it's not the same thing. Okay. So you just forget somewhere else with stuff. We should have really good signal because that's the Wi-Fi news.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
And I wasn't here last night because I couldn't get into actually. I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Look at this thing. I know. Well,
when I press the cop button, I go like that.
And he had the internet plugged into the access unit, which we don't need. I had to unplug it this morning.
But you know what this tells me?
This is
all he cares about is like, let's take care of me. All this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, can't connect.
Did you get it working?
No, I'm gonna turn the whole thing off.
Okay.
And turn it back on.
First one's not till 11:41.
11:41.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's 11:41, 12:11, 12:26, 12. Yeah. You know, it's like all in the 12 o'clock hour. In fact, everyone you have a read every 12 o'clock hour segment. We're gonna play the Brady comments here.
Oh, good.
The piss ant and thing like that. Which I guess you can say piss ant.
Yeah, you can. Almost.
About to be back.
30 seconds.
Like 5 seconds. John Lopez, Cody Stutes in the loop with you. Sports Radio 610 live from Radio Row. Thanks to our friends at Bud Light. Watch us on the Low T Center webcam on Sports Radio 610. If you follow 610 on Twitter or Facebook, you've got plenty of ways that you can see us today. The web stream is live and in HD.
How about that?
For all the shows. So you can see us. I'm waving at the webcam right now.
Hello.
It is HD. And it's so HD that you can see just how bald Mike Meltzer's bald spot is.
I got a bigger one. Bald spot.
Yeah, but Mike's like 29.
I got a power bald spot, man. I worked hard for it.
Yeah, yeah.
My brains are just oozing out.
You've had 3 kids. You've had to steward through steward through childhood.
Exactly.
You've earned it. You've earned it.
Exactly.
Mike Meltzer, I don't know what's he worry about.
Well,
The forks being in the right line.
yeah, exactly.
Golly. Mike trying to shame me for what I wore on the airplane yesterday.
Well, he did.
Shorts and a t-shirt. It was comfortable. Okay. Sorry I didn't eat my witch by myself in the airport.
He did
Like
do
he
that
did.
too.
Keys. Somebody makes a great point, Josh, on the DWIattorney.com text line, 713-572-4610. It's not like I'm drying off dirty stuff when I'm drying off with my towel
Yes, but
that I brought.
5 days in a row, 6 days with the same towel.
Again, not the same. I mean, yes, same towel, washed midweek.
Yeah.
Courtesy of the Seth
And
Payne
by the
Washing
way,
Club.
who even brings a towel?
I do, because the hotel towels aren't soft.
They're pretty soft.
They weren't soft. They're not as soft as
I
my
used
towel.
one
Did you
this
use
morning.
my towel?
God, no.
Okay, well, exactly. my
God,
towel's
no.
softer. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point.
No, and no.
I wonder if Tom Brady brings his own stuff when he goes on vacation.
I
bet
sure
you-
he has butlers.
I bet you there is a TB12 towel in Tom Brady's hotel room right now.
I'm sure there is.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to be like Tom Brady, greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah,
Bring my own towel.
You're just like Tom. When I think of you, I think of Tom Brady.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Me and Tom taking our towels on the road. Of course, his probably has like special healing powers, or so he'll claim
Yeah.
until sued. Okay. But Tom Brady is obviously getting ready to further cement his status if he wins as the greatest quarterback of all time, scoring off with the Eagles.
Just make it a
this
higher
weekend.
bar.
Yeah, make it a higher bar for everyone else to try to jump over. But before he can get to the game, it seems he has some at-home business to attend to. WEEI, who's sitting right across from us here at Radio Row.
Well, they're empty right now.
Well,
They might be under the table doing their show.
You'll find out why they might be
Yeah.
empty here in just a moment. But WEEI has a weekly interview with Tom Brady. Well, Brady seemed to be upset with something they said. We'll bring you the comment that upset Brady and then his response this morning. Our guy Edward taking care of us back in the studio. Let's hear the comment that maybe upset Tom Brady and led to his response this morning. Ooh,
What? Calling her what?
his call. So the WEI host called Brady's daughter an annoying little pissant. Now, this is, of course, Tom vs. Time, his Facebook program that he has on
Right.
that details all of his off the field life and how he's fighting against time. And it's got, I think, close to 10 million views on Facebook
Already, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been pretty successful. And WEI breaking it down, and they dropped that on the kid. Yeah, seems like a little much.
No. Look, this is not even a discussion, really. I say it all the time. A lot of people feel the same way about their situations. No matter the size of your celebrity, you're just a Lilliputian of a celebrity like us, or you're a mega celebrity like Tom Brady. Never, ever, ever bring in the families, ever, unless they become part of. Unless they inject themselves publicly,
Mhm.
like a Kardashian or something. But
Like if the kiddo called WEI and
yes,
was like
yes.
giving him a hard time.
And if they're more adult, I don't know how old was this child. I'm not exactly sure.
It looked like less than 10.
Less than 10. Look, there's an unspoken rule that I think is you're just playing dirty pool, and you're not really much of a person if because celebrities 5 years old, I'm told. You're just a bad person when you call someone a celebrity's child, doesn't matter the size of the celebrity, or you bring them into the discussion. It's just a bad look. Tom Brady has threatened to never do that or not do that.
Well, let's hear what,
rethink. Yeah, let's talk
hear
about
what Brady had to say this morning as he popped on for his weekly visit with WEEI. Oh,
They got the
he
old.
gave the old Coach Billick.
Gave him the old Cody Stutes. gave him the old Cody Stutes. Hang up on the guest. Look, I totally agree. And a texter already says, "You're wrong, John Lopez. If you want to be a celebrity and go into reality TV, you deserve the scrutiny of everything." No, you don't. This was like a breakfast scene, right? And you're calling the celebrity's child that pissant or whatever you call them. It doesn't matter what you do. You don't do it. You don't bring them in again unless they're older and they inject themselves into the public light. Then that's a different story. But I am completely down with Tom Brady on this.
Did gut feeling Brady coming on their show next week?
I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he'll cool
Just
off.
made his statement this week.
Yeah, it's made it clear to management, not necessarily those guys. I mean,
Mhm.
they clearly had his back, so to speak. And the guy was
The author of the
suspended.
comment has been suspended. yeah.
Yes. So I think he'll probably be back, but that's low ball, man. It really is.
It's at first when I heard this, I was like, is Brady overreacting just a little bit to this?
Mm-hmm.
But he gave. I mean, it's not those guys that said it. Those guys, as they mentioned,
Kind of had his back.
had his back, crushed their own teammate for what they had to say, but Brady has to show some sort of solidarity to the family.
I think he made his
point.
Made his point clear. Made his stance very, very clear, and he'll probably be back on there.
Well, and you know what? You got to get that out of the way. I'm sure he'll be asked about it tonight
Yeah.
at Super Bowl opening night.
Here's the other thing about this, and I'm being serious about this too. Tom Brady is going to make this a rallying point for somehow, some way, make this a rallying point for the game.
Yeah.
He's absolutely. They always try to find everybody does, but the Patriots in particular, always trying to find some sort of bulletin board.
Let's do it for our families.
Yes.
Our families, even when they call our families piss ants.
He's absolutely.
Do it for our
He's going to find out
families.
some kind of something to do that.
You're probably right about that.
Yeah, he is.
You're probably right about that. Meanwhile, the Eagles, well, they're in Minnesota already, just kind of hanging out.
They're hanging out here.
Hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at the Mall of America, both of them are here.
Both teams are. I'm not going to say where, but they're staying near or in the Mall of America.
I don't care. Tell them
I'm not
stalkers where they
no,
are. I
I'm
don't
not.
care.
No, I'm not.
We probably said too much already.
That's right. Oh, there's a million hotels.
Oh, I need a mall fight.
You need a mall fight?
I need a mall fight.
Well, look for the nearest middle schoolers. That's where you get the mall fights.
Kids running around.
I generally despise malls.
Oh, you're not a mall guy.
I avoid malls with the passion of 1,000 white-hot flames. I really do. But this is different. This is like the Galleria. I go to the Galleria. I just don't go to malls. The Galleria to me is not a mall. It's just the Galleria. The Mall of America to me is not necessarily like a mall, like Guns Point or something like that.
That's interesting, considering the name of it is the Mall of America.
Yes, but it's not a mall.
Okay, all right. The Mall of America is not a mall.
No, it's the Mall of America.
That's an interesting place to come down.
Okay,
that's an interesting landing.
That's my line in the sand.
It's a good landing spot for you.
Yes.
Yeah, so how'd you enjoy that mall? Oh, it wasn't the mall. Where was it? It was the Mall of America.
Mall of America, of course. Of course.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. If this guy was in the Super Bowl this week, maybe might be in a mall fight because he's had a little bit of edge to him in his time in the NFL. But Aqib Talib is likely going to be out there. Why won't the Texans end up with Aqib Talib? We'll tell you why next in the Loop. Sports Radio 610. Thanks.
Hey, Edward.
I'm going to wail on some food at some point.
Edward.
There's nowhere to put it. All I had was the yogurt.
Hey, Edward. Easy. Hey, I'm gonna email you something. This is extra work. You won't have to do this tomorrow. I'm gonna send titles and descriptions of the podcasts because Porter didn't do the podcast. He just did the guest one, and that's the least one that we do. So he understands for tomorrow. But would you be able to upload these and just paste it into Omni for me in the Mad Radio section? Yeah. He didn't even pull them or anything. So I'm sending times and everything. It's a pain in the ass, but we got to get him up. And I guess he already left. Okay, well then I'm just gonna attach both of y'all. But if he does leave, just make sure. But I'm sending him over right now. All right, man. Appreciate you. Sorry about that.
My daughter, Gracie, is looking at the webcam because I'm on it. Yeah. Who is it? My daughter, almost 4-year-old Grace, and she said she's scared of Cody. How can they be? Who's scared of Cody? I don't know.
How is our traffic on watching the loop? It's all right. That's good. Oh yeah.
All right, I'm taking care of Lee.
Oh, I didn't see it. What is he saying?
He just wants to know what time he can come by this week.
Why is it that on watchingtheloop.com?
Because watchingtheloop.com is not the YouTube stream.
Oh, I forgot about that. So it's on sportsradio610.com?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's weird. We should have a notice on watchingtheloop.com because a lot of people go. Yeah. Well, let's mention it a couple times.
John Lopez, Cody Stutes in the loop with you, Sports Radio 610, Radio Row here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thanks to our friends at Bud Light, the official beer of the NFL. You can watch us on the Low T Center webcam all this week. Not watchingtheloop.com, though. We'll be back on that next week. This week, it's on sportsradio610.com. We've been tweeting it out a bunch. You can catch all the action live on the Low T Center webcam on sportsradio610.com. So if you turn into watchingtheloop.com, you will get Friday's show, okay? You will not get today's show. So sportsradio610.com is where you can find us
If you look,
this week.
if you look at sportsradio610.com at the Low T Center webcam, you can see on my screen us, and then us, and then us.
Oh, it's like a never-ending thing.
It's an infinity. Because I'm watching us,
yeah.
watching us.
You can also
and
see
it
how
goes on
horribly fat I am.
forever.
So, usually the desk hides me. Today, though, the thighs are out and ready for business.
I've got
man.
a power bald spot right here. I'm proud of it. Look at that thing.
You've at least earned yours.
Look at that.
Mike's is inexplicable.
Yeah. So go. Don't go to watchandloop.com is the story here.
Right.
Go to SportsRadio 610.
SportsRadio610.com, Low T Center webcam. That's where you can find us because we're here at Radio Row thanks to our friends at Bud Light. John, the story comes out over the weekend that the Broncos will look to trade Aqib Talib, one of their star cornerbacks, as they have Bradley Roby and Chris Harris also on that team to play corner. He's got a pretty hefty salary, turns 32 next month, and the Broncos not that close to competing for a championship. In fact, not close at all to competing for a championship. They've got a lot of big money invested on that team, so they want to try to trade him. Now the report's coming out, they're probably just going to have to release this guy, according to Jeff Legwold. And that was the thought before. If they're going to release him because they're tight on cash, why would you trade for him and the money he makes now? But I did see that quite a few teams would be interested in him should he hit the free agent market. If this guy's on the free agent market, I get there's the Tremaine Johnsons and the Malcolm Butlers. You can sign up Aqib Talib for a lot less year commitment, maybe around the same money commitment, and this is a proven championship player. So why do I get the sneaking suspicion he'll be nowhere near the Houston Texans?
Well, I don't know if he's going to be near anyone. I'm not trying to be dramatic here. He's got a $12 million cap hit in 18, an $8 million cap hit in 19, and he's trouble. Or potentially trouble.
Right.
He's got a lot of issues. He's ripping chains off of people. That's neither here nor there. That's the least of his issues, really. But he's had some issues in his entire life and some problems. So you're willing to take that or maybe share it with the team that's trading you. The cap hit, if you know what you're getting. See, I don't think a lot of teams really know what they're getting.
No one's trading for this guy.
No one is trading for him.
So if he's cut and he's a free agent, why wouldn't the Texans check in on this guy?
Because of all that. I mean, it's the Texans. Come on now.
So there'd be, at the very least, there's three. There'd be upwards of probably 10 to 12 teams that would check in on this guy and be worthy of putting him on their roster. But the Texans, in dire need of cornerback help, like, no, thank you.
That's why the Texans have some issues with limiting themselves. They are, it's like almost like a hiring practice. Like if you're not hiring or trying to hire potential candidates from all walks, all ages, all races, all ethnicities, all everything, you're limiting your options as a hire, as an employer. I think that's kind of what the Texans are doing here. I don't blame them in this particular case because I'm a little nervous. Aqib Talib makes a lot of people nervous, But let's say it was just somebody with, some more minor type issues, etc. They're limiting themselves if they're not at least kicking the tires on those players. But Aqib Talib, I get it.
Is Brian Gang going to keep up that same Texans way, Texans worthy mentality? Is that something you feel like is that something Gain will? Let me rephrase that. Is that something Gain will have to keep up?
He's going to toe the line on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's not his line. I think it's the McNairs. It's Cal and Bob McNair that kind of keep that at the forefront of kind of their philosophy. So yeah. So I think he's going to do that. Maybe they'll fudge on it a little bit here and there, but by and large, I think they're going to keep it going.
And there's a good question to be asked of if the Broncos, I say they're not championship contenders, but they add Kirk Cousins to that team, and maybe it's a whole different conversation that you have about the Broncos. And if they don't want this guy and the vocal, outspoken nature that he possessed when they got rid of this player and that player in the offseason and some of the issues that he has had on this team, if they don't want him, then not only is it a off the field thing, a locker room thing, but also perhaps even a talent thing.
Right.
But I know Aqib Talib would walk on this team, be the best DB right away.
Yeah, I think he would be. So look, there's you can make a strong case. Hey, why not? If he's on the street, you're not going to trade for him. You're not going to take that cap hit. But for a price, you can have him, and very few teams need secondary help as much as the Texans. I get that. It's a solid argument. I just think in this case, Aqib Talib is a little too much of an edge kind of guy for this organization, and for a lot of organizations.
Will that be something that is that a hurdle that you can't get over in the quest to win a championship?
No, I think you can still win a championship. It's just you are limiting yourself, and I don't like it necessarily in every case, but clearly you can get there from here. You know, if you have the right players and you have enough of them. You know, your type of player.
I'm not saying that the entire team is Aqib Talib, but the entire team don't need to be Tim Tebow either.
Exactly. No, and they got some guys with a little more edge. They've kind of, the criminality aspect or kind of a criminal record or some sort of, shady past they'll stay away from. But guys who are clearly, kind of have an edge, they've signed up with some of those guys.
Would the conversation maybe venture into? There's only a certain type of guys that can turn into the hired hand. You know, the mercenary.
Right.
You got to have the right mentality to be the mercenary.
Yes.
Maybe Aqib Talib is not that guy, having been so close with the fabric that was in Denver. He might be looking to replicate that in his final few years of his career. Whereas the way I view him, if I'm an NFL general manager, is, okay, this guy's a mercenary. I'm coming in. I'm paying him. I don't want any trouble out of him, but I want him to be the best corner or the second best corner on my team and help us win. Whereas Talib may view it as, okay, well, I got a new team, new lease on the NFL, new fabric to establish myself.
Right.
And the Rick Smith culture was not establish yourself as the, come in and establish yourself as the new guy in the room. That's part of the reason A.J. Boye wasn't on the team, is he wasn't one of the old guard in that room.
When was the last time he had like a legitimate issue? Well, didn't he have some problem in Dallas?
He got popped.
Aqib Talib.
You mean like off the field or
yeah,
this
off
season?
the field? Not the ripping the chains off, but didn't he have a legal issue in
He shot himself.
That's right. In Dallas, right?
That's true.
Yeah, he shot himself.
Landry Locker from Mad Radio hanging out with us on Radio Row.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. That doesn't
preclude you from being a Texan, does it?
Yeah,
that's just stupidity.
It's just stupid that you shot yourself.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you're necessarily a bad guy. And that was, Texas.
But wasn't he at a club?
Texas,
right?
With
he was at a club with a gun and shot himself.
Okay.
That doesn't exactly sweeten the deal there.
All right. People go to the clubs all the time.
You shoot yourself? You take a gun into a club?
I mean, I don't. Some people do. This is the state of Texas.
Yes. Some people called, former felons.
This is the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Just because I take my gun into the club and shoot myself doesn't mean that I'm not Texans worthy.
Okay, it kind of does. It kind of does.
Doesn't mean that I'm not Texans worthy.
Yeah.
By the way, he went to Kansas.
Now, come on. Did he go to JUCO first?
He went to Kansas with he was there with the Mark Mangino era. I believe.
Yes.
He went to Kansas. How about that?
Look, I think he was recruited by several guys. Ended up having to go to Kansas.
One of those.
Yeah, one of those. The old Randy Moss thing.
Oh, gotcha.
Randy Moss went to 3 schools before he went to Marshall.
Gotcha. One of those situations.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. That's all in his past as far as I'm concerned. And if the Texans don't at least check up on him, and maybe you check up on him and find that he doesn't fit, the mentality is not right.
Mm-hmm.
But to not even check up on him would be doing yourself a disservice. It would be tying not necessarily a whole hand, but it would be, not putting a whole hand on the situation.
Checking up on him would reveal that the Texans very unlikely would want to sign him. So yeah, maybe they do check on him, but I don't think Brian. I think Brian Gaine knows exactly that that's not the type of person that they want in the organization.
I mean, Brian Gaine is buddies with O'Brien, who comes from the New England Patriots way, where Aqib Talib used to play.
Well, let me ask you this too, as a quick follow up on that. You want Aqib Talib mentoring Kevin Johnson and some of the young cornerbacks? I guess you conceivably draft or sign another cornerback this year?
You know what? It worked out great
on the field. He's legit.
It worked out great for Chris Harris.
Yeah, no, on the field it's legit, no question.
You know,
Yeah,
hey, dude, I don't care who Kevin Johnson's mentor is. Just make the guy better at football.
yeah, yeah.
I don't care who his mentor is.
Mhm.
I don't care who teaches him. Just make him better at football. John Lopez, Cody Stutes in the loop with you. Sports Radio 610 on the Low T Center webcam at Radio Row. Thanks to our friends at Bud Light. What's trending coming your way? A challenge from Mad Radio to the rest of Sports Radio 610 and doing your job, keeping somebody from doing their job. That's next in the loop, Sports Radio 610.
I was like, well, I saw the notification on my phone, but it wasn't in my.
The British guy sitting next to the Super Bowl is here.
Is that who that was?
Yeah. So you don't like my shirt? Your shirt? Yeah, it's him. I like it. Spits one. My shirt? Yeah, I might need your thing to get back in the room if I go back in a little bit, and I have an extra one in the room. I was just, I wanted, a couple of them came, so yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'll just sit here. My daughter liked it because she was able to see me and wave, but she was like, Daddy, say hi, Daddy, say hi. And I couldn't, obviously, for obvious reasons.
When I have to do I just go like that to do the call. Just get all the wires. I have no idea. No idea. Why? Yes, I totally agree. This is bullshit. But there's no room to work, you know. Yeah.
Boy, Rich is going to be this.
Oh, Rich is going to be in prime. Rich is in prime form. Yes, he's going to be writing. Oh, that's a good idea. We're here? Fanboys. Fanboys.
Ooh, is the Shake Shack open?
Yeah, I had like one cup of yogurt for breakfast. I'm gonna have to bolt and get some lunch at some point, and then I'll eat it on Jonesy's table here.
I wish we could go mobile. John's in line at Shake Shack here. Each and every day, at Lopez on Sports, on Twitter, at Cody_Stutes on Twitter. Find out what's trending from at Mean Green Jonesy. But he's on location with us at Radio Row in Minneapolis, Minnesota, thanks to the friends at Bud Light, and live on the Low T Center webcam. So we got our guy Figgy back at the studio, and you know how this works, Figgy. You've been doing this for a while. Give the folks your Twitter account, and then hit me with what I need here. What's trending is Mad Radio's challenge to the rest of the staff.
Yeah, you saw that this morning, huh?
Yes, put out by Mad Radio's Landry Locker this morning on Twitter. This is what it sounded like. John, how did we get to Radio Row this morning?
We Ubered.
Yes, we did.
We absolutely Ubered. Here's the thing about one Landry Locker.
Yes.
You know this. I sat next to him on the plane ride over here yesterday, right?
Uh-huh.
At one point, we're chatting. I leaned over to him and I said, he asked about my ice fishing adventure, which I couldn't go to the first one they confirmed because it starts at noon, and obviously I'm doing radio at noon. So I told him, I said, I'm going to try to find one that starts in the afternoon so we can bolt out of here and maybe go ice fishing into the evening. Because if you're here, and as much like fishing, I've never ice fished in my life, you got to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, do you want to go? And he goes, oh, no way. That sounds horrible. So the guy is talking trash for walking in his winter clothes 1 mile to the Mall of America.
Mm-hmm.
I offered to take him ice fishing in a hut on the ice 50 miles from here for about 4 hours, and he thought I had two heads.
Yeah.
He looked at me like I had two heads.
Also, our Uber driver was very nice, playing Bible scripture over her radio.
She was making sure that we were good with the Lord.
Yes. Yes.
And that's funny. Uber drivers are, it takes all kinds. She was really nice. She really was
very nice.
But
Very
how about
nice.
that? I said, hey, you want to go ice fishing with me? It's only about a 4-hour deal. We can do it, hang out, take a drive out about 40 miles outside of town. No way.
You know what my challenge is?
But
to
look at me. I can walk in the cold when it's clear outside.
You know what my challenge to Mad Radio is? Not get everybody sick.
Well, that
next
too.
week.
That
That's
too.
the challenge.
That's why you need to get rid of that towel.
Hit me, Figgy. Ronda Rousey is trending as WWE hosted their annual Royal Rumble last night. I took in a bunch of it last night on the WWE Network, as did Shawnee Pendergast. And by virtue of you being my roommate, you took in some of it as well. They made the ladies Royal Rumble the last thing on the show. That thing's wrapped up, and then this happens. Ronda Rousey shows up wearing in the likeness of Rowdy Roddy Piper, Rowdy Ronda shirt, and wearing a actual Rowdy Roddy Piper jacket. She shows up, points to the big WrestleMania logo, and now the biggest star in women's MMA is now one of the biggest stars in WWE.
There's no way this was not going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean,
this was going to happen. I like it. There was a video circulating, her kids or stepkids saw her on, and they were like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, they
that's
didn't know
her."
she was going to be on.
Oh my God, that's her. That's fantastic. And by the way, it was quite enlightening watching you watch WWE.
You think so?
Oh, I was over there in the corner just kind of scrolling through Twitter, messaging, talking to the fam and all that stuff. And you were like a kid watching that thing.
Yeah.
Literally eating pizza and wings.
Yep.
With the screen, your face glued to the screen, and anytime something happened, you'd be going like, "Oh!" You slap your forehead. You're like, "Oh my gosh!"
Somebody showed up.
No, you said that at one point. No, I thought it was hilarious watching a grown man, and I know there's a lot of them. I'm not passing judgment, but it's funny watching a grown man act like a child watching WWE.
It's my programs, man.
It's your show, man.
It's my programs.
It's like your novellas.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's my stories.
Yeah, it's my stories. That's my stories.
Yes.
Some people have Game of Thrones. Some people have Mad Men, Breaking Bad, all that stuff. I got WWE.
Yeah. I'm not,
stories.
again, I thought it was just cool.
It's my stories. Hit me, Figgy. Shaquem Griffin. Okay.
He's a prospect.
Yes, he is. If you don't know Shaquem Griffin, he's a UCF linebacker. Got a great story. Shaquem Griffin has one hand.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get drafted, and I believe him to be going to be very good. He was a part of the Senior Bowl this week. And on the NFL Network broadcast of the Senior Bowl, Shaquem was discussing the various ins and outs of Senior Bowl week with the NFL Network's Alex Flanagan. Here's how that sounded.
So what had happened was
he missed his snap on punting.
he was doing an interview on the sideline,
Mhm.
and they said, "Where's Akeem?" And
Shaquem,
Shaquem, my bad. And so he's like, he's doing an interview. So he ran and sprinted, grabbed his helmet, ran onto the field. Here's the thing. In the preseason games, ABC 13, which is the home for Texans preseason, they do sideline interviews.
Uh-huh.
What would Bill O'Brien have done if this happened in a preseason game? Just a preseason game.
A preseason game for the Texans?
Yeah.
Oh, ABC's never doing sideline interviews ever again?
Yep. Let me ask you something else. And this is going to...
This was Bill O'Brien's team, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. It was O'Brien's team. He would go nuts. Absolutely nuts. I'm surprised he didn't go nuts in that.
With the Senior Bowl, though, I mean, there were reports of him smiling this week, which we know doesn't happen very often.
Come on now. That's fake news.
No, there were reports. I might have even seen a picture of it. This was is a jovial, fun environment. The practices are important. The workouts are important. The game, nah. I mean, did you watch 1 minute of the Senior Bowl game?
No. Didn't even know that was the day
highlights on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't even know the score. I couldn't even tell you remotely how many points were scored in the game.
I think some
See
were.
a couple highlights here or there. That's a funny moment from that game. As Shaquem Griffin is a tad bit late to punt coverage, thanks to an NFL Network interview.
Yeah, I think some points were scored. I think there were.
Yeah, points were scored, footballs were thrown and caught. And ran,
Yes.
That sounds like a football game to me. Hit me. El Chapo is trending.
That El Chapo?
That El Chapo. El Chapo is set to stand trial this week, an upcoming federal trial.
Mm-hmm.
His lawyer wanted to make it very clear. If you're unfamiliar who El Chapo is, real name Joaquin Guzman,
Mm-hmm.
one of the most notorious drug lords in the history of the universe. He was captured and is set to stand federal trial. His lawyer wanted to make it known to everybody that El Chapo has zero plans to kill any jurors or their family members this week.
Now, this is not in Mexico.
Correct.
This is a New York, a federal New York murder trial. they're going to get killed, right?
He had previously hired hitmen to kill potential witnesses and police informants in the past, according to Newsweek. But it's good that he stated that. I mean, if you can't trust a world famous drug lord on trial, who can you trust?
A world famous drug lord who has been, all kidding aside, one of the most brutal killers in the history of our world.
Right.
This is an interesting thing. What would you do now if you were selected for that jury? I'm not kidding. It's a scary proposition.
I will tell you this. There is no way they would select me for that jury.
Can they do it like
I would come in
like with blacked out, like a one-way mirror or something?
I would come in with an upside down Mexican flag and burn it. They would not select me for that jury. I'm not getting anywhere near being on El Chapo's jury.
But somebody's going to get selected.
Yes, and that's going to be and I would just show up in a shirt that says innocent.
Don't you?
So you can't wear that. Yes, I can. I want him to see it.
Oh my gosh, I'm very, very serious. It's scary for anybody who's going to be involved in that, and there will be 12 jurors involved in that. I think you need to put the jury behind like a one-way mirror type thing. You have to protect them. That's not. This guy's a horrible, horrible murderer.
Would never get me on that jury. That's all I know.
Yes.
John Lopez, Cody Stutes, live at Radio Row. Thanks to our friends at Bud Light. A concerning story that has a heavy Texans twist to it in the NFL. Does it mean anything? Does it raise any eyebrows that the concussion rate is up in the National Football League? We'll talk about that next in the Loop. Sports Radio 610.
All right. How long does it take me to get?
All right, good luck. Run. What's up, man? Hey, Ben. You all right? Good. How are you? Doing good. Doing good. How's the setup here? Good, man. Good. Our equipment's a little nasty, but yeah, we'll figure it out. Good. How you been? Not too bad. Good. Just enjoying myself right now. Yeah. Be a fun week. Yeah, it's about to get busy for you, though, huh? Yeah. Hopefully for you guys too. Yeah. There's gonna be plenty of people here. Good. It's gonna be real cramped. Good. So you guys here all week? Yeah, we're here all week. So our 6A to 6B all week. Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So when'd you guys get in? We got in last night. Okay. And you got in Saturday. Oh, okay. Friday night. Yeah. I haven't really left the mall area too much. Oh, really? So much going on here. Yeah, where are you staying? We're like in an Airbnb about a mile away. Oh, not bad. Yeah, about a mile and a half away. So it's pretty cool. Cool. It's expensive, like hotels and stuff. Yeah. So Airbnb. We're staying at a water park. Really? Yeah, an indoor water park. Is that the one with the green slide? Yes, the Great Wolf Lodge. Yeah, that's where we're staying. I think like probably like a mile and a half. Yeah, I see it every day. Yeah, that's where we're at. So you guys have anything lined up this week, or just kind of wait and see who? We got a few things already lined up on the guest list, but if you have anything, send me an email. We'll work on it. We got to help out our guys. So yeah, I see anything crazy. Yeah, should be fun. Yeah, shoot me an email. Let me know. You got my number? I don't know. I definitely have your email. Here, text me your number real quick. Let me see if I got you. When's the last time somebody called you? In a serious matter, probably never. Just joking around. Yeah. Hello, Gregory. Nice to meet you. Yeah. What's your number? 713-817-2058. You guys gonna get McClain on the show? Probably. Yeah, I'm sure he's wandering around here somewhere. Yeah, I saw him yesterday. Yeah. He's a legend here. Oh, yeah. Everyone's like, John. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah. Good to see you, Cody. Hey, good to see you, man. Shoot me an email. Yeah, see you around. Yeah, see you. Oh, good Lord.
What is it? Dilly Dilly? I don't want to say it on the webcam. Bud Light, brewed deep in the heart of Texas.
What about it? That's what we're going to say?
Woo! You barely made it. John Lopez, Cody Stutes in the loop with you, Sports Radio 610. Live from Radio Row, thanks to our friends at Bud Light. Bud Light brewed deep in the heart of Texas.
How about that?
How about that?
That's our beer, huh?
Yeah, and you can see us maybe one day drinking some of that fine Bud Light on the Low T Center webcam on sportsradio610.com. You don't want to miss that. It's on during the entire show, including the breaks. So you heard John huffing and puffing.
Okay,
he ran to the bathroom.
Let's talk about the bathroom situation at the Mall of Americas. There has to be one less than a quarter mile away, right?
Well,
That's the one I went to. It's probably a quarter mile round trip.
Yeah, well.
Right? Am I exaggerating?
Maybe a little bit, but then not too much.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm exaggerating.
Here's the thing. You're not doing anything but, hustling there, number one, hustling back.
Exactly. Yeah, the other's been taken care of this morning.
Right.
Yeah. So.
You just go once?
No.
Never mind.
God, no.
Never mind.
Listen, let me ask you something. Something interesting about the bathroom here also. There's did you notice the thing that there's a syringe disposal in the bathroom?
What?
Did you notice
Mall
that?
of America?
At that bathroom I just went to,
there's a syringe disposal place?
There's obviously the sinks, there's the facilities, there's the hand dryers.
I know the answer.
Right next to the hand dryers, it says syringe disposal.
I know the answer.
What the hell kind of place are we at?
This is easy.
Where's your preposition at?
This is easy. Where are we?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. What are Minnesota people?
Fat and diabetic.
Well, there you go. Insulin shots.
I've never ever seen.
They got their one hitters and throw them away.
I've never seen a syringe disposal area in a public bathroom.
Well, first time for everything.
Oh my goodness.
First time for everything. If you've never seen You Called It, it comes your way at 11:30. You guys vote on what is going to be the topic. 4 topics for you to vote on today on the You Called It poll. And you can go vote on Sports Radio 610's Twitter account. LeVar Ball is undefeated. Alabama's crazy money. $100K for the NBA All-Stars or Ronda Rousey in the WWE. Those are the You Called It topics you can go vote on. Just a few minutes left. Go vote on Sports Radio 610's Twitter account, and the winner will be custom discussed at 11:30. John, this probably got some cussing and discussing going in the NFL offices as I was looking at USA Today, and it seems that the concussion rate in the NFL for 2017 up 15%.
Isn't that something?
Now, that's very, Mad Radio does the headline porn thing. It is very headline porny, but it catches your eye when you see it.
Well, it absolutely does. And I got to be honest, I don't think it's just headline porn. I think it's interesting. And I want to know why. I'm trying to figure out reasons why, because we are living in an era of football, not just NFL football, but from the little tykes to the middle schoolers and high schoolers, they're teaching tackling in an entirely different way. They're obviously enforcing different rules. How does it get higher? How does the concussion rate get higher? Is it just
281 diagnosed concussions in 2017?
Is it just speed of the game? Is the game developing that fast where it's even higher than 5 years? It's even faster and stronger than 4 or 5 years ago? Or is there something else? are the precautions not working? I guess is what I'm getting at. If like let's say you're tackling without you're not leading with your head, you're leading with your shoulder, right? I hadn't really thought about this too much. The force of impact doesn't really change. You're just not leading with you. That only protects the hitter, not the hitee. How many guys have still been hit with someone's shoulder?
Your head rocks.
Their head rocks, just like it always has, or maybe even more so because it's almost like a whiplash effect, and then rocks onto the ground. And again, I'm not pretending to say that that I have the answer there, but I'm curious.
I'd be fascinated to know if this was a increase that applied not only to the NFL but say college and high school football as well, because just the NFL, one would argue likely, and the way I feel about it, is most well equipped to handle these concussions. World-class doctors,
right?
World-class medical treatment. If this was a number that was college and high school football, then it becomes a bit more dangerous to the game of football. Is a 15% spike in these concussion numbers in the NFL? Is it 15, 20% in college or high school, where that's a more concerning number because there are more college football players than NFL players. There are way more high school football players than either of those two.
Or is it just being diagnosed more? Or is the system working?
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
That's actually, we're not quick to give the NFL credit. That's actually a really good point.
I just don't understand it. If it's actually, it's just higher. There are more concussions. I think it's possibly, some sort of combination of the two. Leading with the shoulder is not exactly, preventing the high rate of collision and the whiplash and people still getting hit, the hitee getting hit. And also, they're diagnosing it more.
You know what would be an interesting stat comparison with this? I wonder if the amount of ACL injuries via hit are down because players go high.
Yeah.
They go high instead of going low.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be.
That would be something to track and trend. As is with any stat, the seasoning is going to be where you find out the true numbers and the true idea of it. But your point about maybe better awareness and better diagnosis.
Yeah.
And then you got guys like CJ Fedorowicz out there getting 3 in 1 year.
Right.
That
those are real
number
concussions.
Yeah.
That's not diagnosis. That's easy to diagnose even back in the old days, where the guy's out. That's a concussion, so it's interesting.
Are the NFL offices, you believe, concerned about something like this?
Well, yes, because of the image.
The answer
not
is no, because they don't actually care.
No, they care because of their image and their charade of being, concerned with.
We got to get this number down. Looks bad for us.
Right.
What about the players? No, it looks bad for us.
Yeah, that's what they're cared. That's what they care about.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's a very NFL approach to it. Oh man. Yeah. So if you hadn't heard, concussion rate in the NFL up 15% in 2017. I like John's theory though. They're just diagnosing more of it. Yeah. Certainly hope so. You'd hate for that number to be up through all levels of football, much less just the NFL. Damon Mendelara on CBS Sports Radio, one of the best that does it. He'll drop by. What does he think about Minneapolis and the Super Bowl matchup? One of the big questions we'll ask this week, are you tired of greatness? Well, we'll find out if Damon's tired of greatness, among other things, next in Loop, Sports Radio 610.
Hey, man, you ready? We got the close quarters here, but unfortunately got me shouting over your shoulder. Oh, that's all right. It's probably better takes than we do. We have. Yeah. It's like I was telling Tony earlier. This is 11:15. I said, well, we already know what he thinks. Because he's right here.
You just tap in, just throw the microphone over there.
Can you repeat what you said last time? That's our takes. What's going on?
Not much. We got into town yesterday, so just probably like today. We got in last night, so today we'll do a little lay of the land.
Oh, yeah.
See what's going on.
You talked to Nick?
Yeah, I saw Nick a couple weeks ago. Grabbed lunch. Yeah, caught up to him a couple times since he's been to
Can't believe they're not coming.
Yeah, that's surprising.
You know why, right?
No.
I probably shouldn't say this, but it's just you. They lost $75 million when USA Soccer didn't make the World Cup.
Oh, way.
So they're keeping staff. They're not firing anybody, but they're cutting a lot of staff. They were going to bring everybody. They were going to bring everything, and they should have, because obviously it's still kind of a startup. But I was texting with him probably about a couple weeks ago, like you. I said, "We're all looking forward to seeing you, man." And I'm like, "Well, that's 75 million real dollars. That's not like that's advertising dollars that were there that because they didn't take it there."
Interesting. So it was like these companies
They were
pledged
in.
the money as long as the U.S. made it.
Right.
And then that affects everything down to FS1. And,
That was a tough loss, Jurgen.
Well, and it goes to also show you the type of money that's invested in that team in other ways as well. Like, I'm sure Nike has an amazing amount of money in those types of things.
Yeah, it was, I'm sure Nick can tell you that too.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was just assuming he was going to be here, so I would have texted him.
No, I texted looking forward to it. He goes,
Which headset did you be on?
that one over there.
You guys went to Twin Peaks, or are these
They're
just
sponsors. They're one of the sponsors.
brilliant?
Yeah.
I love Twin
You're
Peaks.
sitting in the Twin Peaks hot seat.
Oh, this is so good. This is so good. My buddies love Twin Peaks.
Oh, really?
They're going to love this.
You're in the hot seat. You actually have to wear a halter top.
This is great.
All right, here we go.
John Lopez, Cody Stutes sitting in the loop with you. Sports Radio 610 live from Radio Row. Thanks to our friends at Bud Light, brewed deep in the heart of Texas. You can catch us on the Low T Center webcam, and you'll see our first guest of Radio Row.
How about that?
The Twin Peaks guest seat. You hear him on CBS Sports Radio each and every day. You've heard him on the show with us before. Follow him on Twitter at DA on CBS. Damon Mendelara sitting down with us. What's up, man?
What's up, Cody? What's up, John?
Oh, man, this is
This
it. Mall of
is-
America's never done a show in a mall.
This is a little aggressive since I'm the first guest on Radio Row.
Yep.
That means, does this go Case Keenum opening drive touchdown or pick six?
This
It could
is,
go either way here.
That's a fair point. We'll let you know at the end.
Yeah.
we'll let you know.
I feel great spending 5 straight days in a mall food court. It feels like I'm in 8th grade again. This is
Yeah.
exactly like my reality
Yeah.
back in 8th grade. Like,
Every summer.
yeah, let's go to the food court again. Okay, guys. Yeah.
You got to get in a fight at least once.
At least one
If
fight.
you're in middle school, you're going to be in a fight at the mall.
Except there's no arcades around these things anymore, so I can't just pop quarters into NBA Jam anymore.
Yeah.
But
And I haven't seen the pretzel shops
NBA
yet.
Jam. That's right. That's right. But this is a great place, man.
It's huge. I mean, there is an amusement park in this
Yeah.
mall.
I was-
There's a SeaWorld on the bottom floor.
Isn't that something? I generally despise malls.
As
I
you should.
avoid them with a passion,
Yep,
but
you
this is
should.
a little different. But it's good, and I've never ever done a show here. Let me ask you this. Let's get into some nuts and bolts though here. Go back a week or so. Did you want the Patriots here, or are you ready for something?
Hell no.
different?
Oh God, you guys have met.
Me neither.
You guys have met maybe the single most nauseous
Yes.
media member with the New England Patriots. Remember, I worked in Boston as well. I covered the Patriots for 4 seasons. And I just am so tired of these guys still being here. I want 2 weeks of talking about the Jaguars.
Exactly.
I want 2 weeks to talk about the Titans. I want 2 weeks to talk about anybody else out of the AFC, anybody else.
Yes.
And so, look, as you know, John, NFL history, we have a lot of dynasties, and there's been a lot of great players, but you get maybe 6 to 7 years of dynasty.
And then you're over it.
The Steelers got 6 years. They won 4 Super Bowls in those 6 years. The Packers of the 60s got maybe 9 years, 5 titles out of that with Vince Lombardi.
But only the 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
Right.
But 3 other NFL championships. The Dallas Cowboys basically had a 5-year window. By the time 96 rolls around, they lose to the Carolina Panthers. The dynasty is over.
Yep.
The Niners came closest because they won one in 81 and they won one in 94. That was a 13-year period. But they changed coaches
and personnel.
Quarterbacks.
Right, yeah.
I mean, so the Patriots being in the Super Bowl in the same spot from 01 to 17. I mean, God, can we get
enough
somebody
already?
Out? Really?
Enough already.
I mean, it's 20 years of this.
That's
Come
exactly
on.
right. I'm glad you said that. I didn't know where you were going to fall with that.
No, I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. And can the division get better here, guys? I mean, if the Bills or the Dolphins
Jets
or the Jets could just get their crap together.
It's like they're raising the white flag.
I mean, look, the Patriots had to beat the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins, and then the AFC South to get here. Come on. Come on.
And we know the AFC South.
Yeah, seriously.
That's right.
Damon Mendelar, our guest in the Twin Peaks guest seat. And then you look at the other side, and, I mean, if 11's playing this week, you're talking about Carson Wentz, the upstart, maybe the future face of the NFL at quarterback, trying to take down that old guard. And then, we saw it walking in. You got Nick Foles on the posters.
Yeah.
Number 9.
It's very weird.
Number 9.
It really is very weird. Had Carson Wentz been here, I certainly would have felt different about the Eagles. But I also learned my lesson in the NFC Championship game because I figured the Vikings were just going to rattle Foles and win that game easily, even though it was on the road.
Right.
Number 1 defense in the NFL. I just kind of assumed that at some point the magic carpet ride ends for Nick Foles. And Foles played great in that game.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing he didn't do in that game against the best defense in football. So I learned my lesson. I'm not going to count out Foles in this game. We all would feel different if it was Carson Wentz. But, gosh, this Eagles team, maybe there's a little Eli Manning and Nick Foles where he doesn't quite get rattled by the pressure.
Sure.
He's just kind of so even keel like Eli was. And maybe that's the perfect type of disposition to beat the Patriots.
It's funny. I'm sure you've asked this question sitting on this side of the table. So asking you, the Jaguars had the perfect formula working against Tom Brady.
Yep.
The defensive line was holding the pressure on its own. Cornerbacks were locking people down. Gronk even got out of the game by the Jaguars, and they still lost. I mean, can it happen?
Well, the Jaguars did 2 things that were problematic in that game. They got really conservative in the second half, and you can't just sit on the lead in Foxborough because the officials will never do you favors in Foxborough. I mean, the Patriots,
true.
1 penalty for 10 yards last week, and it happened on special teams. So you'll never get the benefit of the doubt officiating-wise up there. Number 2, that pass rush that they had going on in the first half, they didn't get to Brady nearly enough in the second half. He had so much time to end up, even without Gronk, picking that team apart.
Yeah.
Had the Jaguars figured out a way to be a little bit more aggressive play calling wise and a little bit more aggressive from pass rush standpoint, they would have been able to get it done. But without those 2 things happening, they just ended up being vulnerable.
Damon Mendelar in the Twin Peaks guest seat with us, our first Radio Row guest. You talk about the Jaguars. They got as far as they did. And they're, of course, supreme interest to us because they're 2 times on the schedule for the Texans every year. They get all the way there. They're going to change quarterbacks, aren't they?
I guess if they have the option to, but maybe they don't have the option. I mean, what happens if Kirk Cousins re-signs? And what happens if Alex Smith goes to the Jets? I mean, there's not a ton of great options out there.
Right.
If it was Blake Bortles or Tyrod Taylor, I think you stay with Blake Bortles. So it really depends on what their options are. I think, look, if it was Eli Manning, somehow the Giants wanted to cut bait with him, which they won't. I think they'll draft a quarterback number 2 and then keep Eli in the fold. But if it was Alex Smith, I mean, maybe they would upgrade for Alex Smith. But I don't know if you would automatically change it to Blake Bortles,
right?
Unless you knew that you definitely had the better option. Because I think there's a lot of pushes out there. There's a lot of guys that the McCowns of the world, the Tyrod Taylors of the world,
which is you might as well keep
right. You might as well just stay with the guy that got you to the AFC Championship game.
Right. It's a good point. What'd you make of this? Well, I'll just give you what we were talking about. This thing with Brady's daughter, it's just obviously slow ball is something you never do. You never bring the families in, especially when they don't ask to be brought in. But don't you think Brady's going to somehow do a Brady and use this as a motivation, some kind? He's always coming up with some kind of something about why they have to win now.
He is, yeah. I think that we might be safe from that for a little bit just because it was Boston media and it wasn't Philadelphia media. Maybe it was Philadelphia
That's true.
media.
Yeah, that's true.
Use the enemy type of
If
thing.
it's Philadelphia media, you couldn't replay it on the radio.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah.
That's true. That's the one thing about Brady. As much fatigue as we all have about the Patriots, the one thing that's amazing about Brady is that no matter what success they have, he's never satisfied. Everything is the next battle, the next war, the next game. He's got to win the next season. He's got to win. I mean, you guys know, like when you go through the history of the great quarterbacks, at some point they kind of wave the white flag and go, well, I don't want to get hit anymore. I don't want to go to two days anymore. I don't want to grind it out. And granted, playing quarterback today is a lot less physical than it was back in the day. But at some point you just go, all right, I'm good.
Oh, he's hurting every day. People think that, obviously he's Brady and he's durable and all that. There's no, I mean, he's taking hits every week. I know they're not too like, Dan Pastorini and Terry Bradshaw getting, thrown to the turf, but he's got to be hurting. There's something else at work here. He can't live without it.
He can't live. That's a good way to put it. He can't live without it. And he's also led by a coach that refuses to let anybody breathe. I mean, at the end of the Steelers dynasty with Chuck Nolan, those guys got old.
Yeah.
They didn't replace very well. And everybody just said, it's kind of over now. Chuck Nolan was never good after he had all of those guys. The 80s, they really kind of fell apart. Same thing with the Cowboys. Like when Jimmy Johnson came back with the Dolphins, they weren't very good. You need the talent of the personnel. And it's also just tough to grind the same way you used to. But somehow Bill is wired like a robot to never show any satisfaction. Brady feeds off that. And those two guys, just no matter how many titles they have, it's never enough for them.
You can follow him on Twitter at DA on CBS. Damon Mendelar, our guest in the Twin Peaks guest seat. All right. You travel a lot. You got the YouTube series Nomad all over the place.
By the way, tremendous.
Thank you, guys.
I saw you in the New York City chicken sandwich shop.
Yeah.
We went
tremendous.
The line's out the door. What we do in New York City for a little bit of food.
All right. So you travel a lot. When you stay in a hotel, have you ever brought your own towel?
I have not.
Thank you.
No, I have not brought my own
This
towel.
dude brought his own towel from home.
Is that right?
I brought my own towel.
I find that hotel towels are probably more sanitary
I
than
think
anything
you're
I
right.
have at home.
I think you're right.
Tell me your theory, because I could be skeeved out by public
No,
things.
you couldn't.
My towel's bigger, and my towel's softer.
No, and no.
Well, this is interesting.
You can use more than one towel.
You couldn't live these 5 days without the larger, softer towel.
Well, I could have. It's just I'm maximizing my comfort away from my comfort zone.
Well, okay, so a towel more important than a pillow?
I didn't bring a pillow. I didn't have room for a pillow.
So I'm saying but that's more of a priority for you.
Yeah, sure.
Interesting. You
don't have to wear kid gloves.
So
you don't have to wear
here's
kid
the
gloves.
problem. I would never sacrifice that space
for a towel.
For the towel.
Yes.
The towel takes up a lot of space. You got to give me an extra shirt, an extra pair of pants.
Especially when you're putting long underwear in there.
Around here. Around
you got extra warmth.
I mean, the towels at hotels are usually really good. What are you guys staying at? Like an Econo Lodge?
He's
come on.
He's a bozo. He's a bozo.
Come on.
Come on now. You don't have to be nice. I'm not nice. You don't have to be. Dude, man. So what are you going to do out and about in Minneapolis
okay,
here?
So,
all right. I know you got some plans.
Yeah. So I got to go eat a Juicy Lucy, which is
okay, go ahead. Tell everybody.
Cheese injected hamburger. They
Yes.
put the cheese in the middle of the hamburger.
Nothing you're saying is bad. Everything you've said so far is good.
Brilliant. I got to go try that. I've heard that there is like this incredible craft beer scene here in the Twin Cities. So I got to go try all of their craft beers.
All of them. Every one of them.
All these local ones.
Yes.
And also, from what I'm hearing, the ice cream situation is out of control around here. So I got to go
just
try
outside.
Yeah, right? You wouldn't think.
Ice cream.
Freezing cold,
Yeah.
right? So you wouldn't think, but I got to go try one of those. And did you know it's the largest population of Somalis that are here in the U.S. outside of Somalia in the Twin Cities? Now, I've never had Somalian food.
Well, this is a resort for people from Somalia. Come on now.
Well, it's way colder. I don't know how you pick going from Africa.
They're asking these poor Somalis, you want to live here or you want to go to Minneapolis? Hell,
That's
sign
a
me
good
up to
point, yeah.
Minneapolis.
It's 7 below. Don't care.
That's right.
It snows every day. Don't care.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
As long as they have General So's in the food court, I'm there.
I've never had Somali food. I think I got to try Somali food.
I might be down with that.
You might be.
Are you going by yourself?
I might be.
Hit me up.
Okay.
I've
All
never
right. So
tried that.
you're an adventurous
Oh,
like me.
I always, when I've traveled all over the place, I always try to try the the local fare.
Yeah.
I ate eel in Korea and Vegemite in Australia and blood sausage in Argentina. I always try to eat like their thing.
Really?
I'm down with Somali.
That's cool.
I'm down with that.
All right, I'll keep you posted. That's good to
I
know.
might vomit, but I'm down with it.
But you're willing to risk that.
I'm really
So
for the show.
You would be great on what was the one where that TV show Fear Factor, where they were
I
eating
love that stuff.
maggots and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
No, give me the cheese injected hamburger. I'll take
Juicy
that.
Lucy it is. Juicy Lucy it is. Hey man, thanks.
At
You got it,
DA
guys.
on CBS on Twitter, Damon Mendelara with us on Radio Row. Thank you, man.
You got it, man. My
Good
pleasure,
stuff.
boys.
Catch his stuff on CBS Radio. Catch Nomad on YouTube as well. All right, you called it. Coming up next, you'll find out the winners. You're listening to us live from Radio Row, Sports Radio 610.
Good stuff, man. Take care.
I totally forgot about the Juicy Lucy. Now I'm on a quest.
You got to get one.
Now I'm on a quest.
Let me give you the suggestion of where the best one is.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's bar. That's what this place is.